Good evening, everyone, whether you're watching live or on the rerun. Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum.
Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Get ready to explore the world of comics, past, present, and future, with our panelists Eric Hawkins, Brian Rodman, and Clyde Hall. And now here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
And welcome, everybody, to the Thursday, August 25th, 2022 edition of Comic Book Spectrum. We've got some books we're going to review, probably talk about some stuff, but we look forward to your comments. And if you're watching us after the show, please leave some comments down below. We'll try to get back to you. And we are brought to you tonight by Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, and by Rising Tide Publications. And with no further ado, yes, we're no longer using any more ado, I'm going to bring in the other denizens of this gallery here. Clyde Hall, Eric Hawkins, and there he is, Joe D. McFee.
I told you I'm multitasking.
I don't care. I don't care. This is this show over all us.
You don't care like you don't wanna.
Yeah, that too. But I'm here, and I'm not multitasking. My focus is on our audience, the lovely people out there. So there. Did they buy that?
Have you seen them? I mean, have you really seen them? I mean,
intermittently, I did used to watch America's Most Wanted.
There in the background,
Yeah,
like this right about now, and then there's another one way back in the back.
There's a guy with a raincoat.
Hold it up there, beer like this, like yeah.
There's a guy in a raincoat by the exit. Don't look at him very directly.
No eye contact. No eye contact.
No. He has that come hither look, so don't look him in the eye.
That's okay, because you won't be looking at him in the eye, I promise. But anyway, we're going to go around the room here and explain why we are here, why we're so awesome, as the room just fills up, and we're happy to see everyone here, whether you're live or on the rerun. We do appreciate y'all, we really do. So let's go the opposite way tonight from our usual. We're going to start with Clyde, then Eric, then Joe. Clyde, tell everybody who you are and why you are so amazing. And the idol of millions.
My name is Clyde, and I'm a comic book addict.
Hi, Clyde!
Clyde. I also have low thresholds of resistance for classic Saturday morning cartoons, vintage toys, 40 phenomena, hauntings, cryptids, old-time radio dramas, and the golden age of Hollywood. I also happen to have what makes me the envy of Brian Morris this week.
Holy cats. Ooh, 50th. I remember those.
Yeah. I have a friend, Stacy. Thank you, Stacy. That I think she was at like either an estate sale or an auction or something, but she found that and just ran by the house one evening or one morning and said, Here, I thought of you. So
nice.
Yes, very, very nice. Very collectible. Now, it says 50th anniversary of Superman, but it says 1986. Is that for the copyright? Yeah.
That is not accurate by 2 years. But I remember in '86 they were celebrating it mostly because John Byrne had just redone the title.
Okay. So a PR opportunity. Okay, I get it. But
yeah, from people who can't count.
I would ask you, and you go to the source of high DC information, and you get an answer. See, so everybody in the audience, get your DC questions ready, and any comic book questions ready for our resident professor of comicsology. That would be Brian K. Morris.
I love that service.
That's Superman.
Yeah. The art of graphic storytelling, though, has been a constant passion since the day my rocket hit Earth. I do online comic reviews at places like doomrocket.com, where this weekend, I believe, you will be able to read my review of Vault Comics' Barbaric Axe to Grind #1 and my contribution to their monthly Undercover feature. I'm a contributing writer of new pulp fiction, that is, at Stormgate Press, and my stories have been in each of their award-winning volumes, of Pulp Reality.
Yay!
1, 2, 3. 4. Number 4 is coming very, very soon. In fact, I've been trying to wrap up my final version of the story I'm submitting for it this week. So Stormgate is the place for quality stories in the new pulp genre. Look for the Pulp Reality volumes on Amazon, but you can also visit us at www.stormgatepress.com. On Thursday nights, I join this panel of creatives, my friends and fellow aficionados, as we dish up reviews meant to bemuse, raise ooze, and disabuse the notion that good comics only come from the big two, here on Comic Book Spectrum.
Very well said. And now, and it's almost like you meant it. Anyway, yeah. And here
Hey, when
he
you can
is.
fake sincerity, you've got it made, man. I'm just telling
There you go. And sincerely, we are glad to throw it now to the Pro Slayer himself, Mr. Eric S. Hawkins. Eric, take it away.
Hey, I'm Eric Hawkins. I'm an independent comic creator, writer, and artist. I guess I put writer now first. I don't know.
You finally recognize your true role in the creative process. That's why you need an editor.
Clyde, you send that resume over yet?
Clyde, I gotta talk to me first before you say yes.
Hey, I'm mostly known for the Zombie World of Oz, but this October we're going to be launching Zombiful Adventures, which would be the first issue is going to be Tom Sawyer.
Yay!
On a train with zombies and Becky Thatcher and Huck Finn, and we'll see.
I love that Rush song.
If it wasn't copyrighted, I'd make an intro video with it. But what can I do? Other than that, you can find me here on Thursday nights talking about comics I hate or like. Depends on which one I read this week. This one's going to be The Brother of All Men. We'll see how that goes. It's got to be better than this one from a couple weeks ago that I didn't even buy the new one. So.
When are you getting that slabbed?
Yeah. They sent it back, said we don't slap crap.
Worst I've heard.
But after this show, I do another show where we draw comic characters for independent creators. Mostly lately, we'll take a crowdfunding campaign and do their characters, try to give them a little bit of a boost in the backing. Tonight we're doing Psychotron. Which it's on Indiegogo right now and launches on Kickstarter on Friday. Well, tomorrow, I guess. Yeah.
Nice.
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you, Eric. And now, 3, 2, make sure he's in the frame now. All right, here he is, Mr. Joe D. McFee. Joe is trying to get his Kickstarter
I'm filling up bags.
Ooh.
That's right. There we go.
And doing Gemini mailers and putting shipping labels on stuff. So that's who I am. I am the president of the CGC Studios. I am the creator of comics like Amazonia and Primetime Saturday Night and AWF. And Thursday nights I'm here reviewing comics, and I also have my own little bitty show called From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher on Saturdays here on this same network.
All right. That's it?
Yep.
All right. Let me get ready now. All right, here we go. Why is this book so darn good? Why is it so readable?
The intro!
It's because of editing. Anyway,
I only see one name on the cover.
I don't.
The power of editing.
Oh, you're right. There is another name involved in this. Forward by Clyde Hall. Anyway,
Hey, you edited that too.
That's right, see? It's all me. Anyway, I'm independent publisher, freelance author Brian K. Morris. I'm also an award-winning writer and Facebook famous YouTuber and former mortician's assistant. And Eric and I have been bickering like a pair of old housewives all afternoon. And it's been fun. But anyway, want to let everybody know I'm good. This is the last minute booking of mine. But this Saturday on the 27th from 11 to 5, I will be at the Evansville Museum of Art, History, and Science.
Ooh.
No, I'm not one of the exhibits. Well, I am after a fashion. But I'll be there along with Molly Daniels and Sean Delaney, Andy Shaggy Cordy, and a whole bunch of great creators of books and comics and such. And it's going to be a great day. There's going to be cosplay and everything. Please come see us. Go to the event page on Facebook and learn more about it. But anyway, I'm the editor of this book and proud of it. And also, this is where I won the award. Pick it up on Amazon. You'll be glad you did. And I'm also sharing space with Clyde Hall in Major Marjorie, also from Stormgate Press with creator Tim Bruckner, Jim Beard, Alessia Kent, and myself. Please check this book out. If you love sci-fi, that's the book to get. And we'll just share the screen. My controls are sticking tonight. It happens when you get old. Anyway, I did hit
Code.
yeah, it is code. Yeah, and I did hit the wrong button earlier. I started writing a script to how to open this show up, and I did look at it, but I should have been looking at the control panel instead. But anyway, we're glad we've got comments here, like from Mr. Carl Witzman. Glad to see you, Carl. Hello to you. And don't everyone talk at once. We aren't. And Donna Carly, glad to see you. And Ted Davies Artistry, good evening, superheroes. Good evening to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Check out Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 10 when Ted Davies Artistry owns the airwaves. And everyone's saying hello, hello, hello. And Ted, that was an interesting session with John Celestri last night. Very cool, very cool. And have they really reviewed comics from the future? We should try that.
Hi. From the future.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'll be reviewing issue 5 of the Zombieful World of Oz tomorrow.
I will review all the future releases from Colin Bunn at one moment.
You've traumatized me, Eric, because I was looking at a book on Comixology, and I'm thinking, oh, that looks interesting. That looks very interesting. Then I saw who wrote it, and it was your friend. And I just kind of shied away from it. So you've
Colin Bunn is like Chrysler.
Okay.
So my family, retired from Chrysler. Many of them worked there and retired, and they wouldn't even own a Chrysler. Even my uncle, who was a quality control engineer, would not own a Chrysler product. I had a '95 Avenger when they first came out, when they were the 2-door, really nice one. Piece of shit. Chrysler puts out beautiful looking cars.
Yes.
But everything that's inside of it is shit. Mm-hmm. Colin Bunn puts out beautiful looking books, but the insides are shit.
So next week, Colin Bunn will be appearing on this show for the Counterpoint.
That's so funny. You work on that.
That would be funny. Kind of like a 60 minutes point counterpoint kind of thing, and Clyde and Joe and I leave the room and just leave you here with him. I think that would be screaming, "You suck! You suck!" It's going to be a lively, engaging hour of Eric screaming, "You suck!" at a near stranger next week on this show.
Colin started with, he just had all of his Eisners laid out on the table in front of him and went downhill from there for Eric. It was just bad.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. and of course, that would be Colin's rebuttal. He would just point at his row of awards and say, "And you've got what?"
Uh-oh.
Ah! The gauntlet's been hurled.
I told you not to swallow that gauntlet.
That's right. Well, while there he is. Good, he's coming back. Good, he's back.
And by the way, the Zombieful World of Oz #1 does have an award of webcomic of the year.
Ooh.
Let's see. Oh, wait.
Those
Colin Bunn's signature right there.
Those look good.
Yeah.
And there's Colin Bunn's signature right there.
That looks vaguely familiar, Eric.
One was from Brian Morris, and one was from Brian Hawkins at the where were we at?
BirdCon.
BirdCon. Yeah,
in 2019.
They got them for me as a joke.
I meant it with love, Eric.
This is a long-standing feud. I thought this was just a recent thing. But...
No.
This is in the
we
summer.
Started this show, so we're going on like 2 years now, aren't we?
Yeah, I think you're right. I never thought. Yeah. Of course, my first, everybody divides their shows into seasons now, and it's like Hot Ones is like in their 28th season or something like that, but they've only been on the air for 5 years, My first season, and never mind the Furthermore, was 7 years long. So,
You know, I was thinking about that this week,
yeah,
especially since we started the show,
right.
that a lot of times the people that infuriate us the most
Hmm.
are not the creative folks. They're not the ones. I mean, there's some people that I'll see the name and I don't expect much.
Right.
You know, the bar is lowered. Now, I may still enjoy it, but it's not going to be groundbreaking stuff. It's a, you know, it may be all right,
Right.
but it's the ones that can sometimes that are hot and cold. They'll produce something really good, you know, occasionally, and then the rest of the time it's just sort of like they're phoning it in or floating along. And for you, you know, Colin Bunn, I think, is one of those, or maybe in your case, you don't like anything he's done, but he has done some things that were fairly decent, and they have been well received enough to win awards.
You know, the Heathens book, I really enjoyed the
What?
first
Yeah.
issue, except for that one part.
One part, right?
Yeah.
But overall, and Tom King does it for me. There was a time there where, you know, he started off with a book I really liked, and then, boy, I don't know, it was not good, and DC could not tell him no for anything.
Hmm.
And now he's back on track, and I'm liking a lot of the stuff he does. But it's
Could be
interesting.
medication.
Huh?
Could be medication.
Well, it could be. It could
Tom's
be.
or Clyde's.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
it's just interesting that, you know, how it can be somebody that sometimes I think we take it harder from somebody that has a lot of potential and sometimes capitalizes on it than for somebody that we just don't expect a whole lot out of.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got through reading the trade of Strange Adventures by Tom King.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was totally good. I did enjoy it. You know, and the funny thing is, the thing he's had the longest run on was Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing of his I probably enjoyed the least.
There you go.
Yeah, because it's uneven. Some issues are sheer brilliance. The one where Bruce and Selina were double dating with Clark and Lois.
Oh, yeah.
That was an amazing issue. So well written.
I had so many people praising it. I got it. I was like, I'm going to start getting this book. And within like 3 issues, I'm like, I'm going to stop getting this book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bruce marches around the snow. How nice. Yeah. Yeah, and well, actually, the thing was, I was having a discussion at Comics Cube in Kokomo, Indiana. # always promote your friends. I was having a discussion with some people in there, and I told them that Tom King lost me on the second issue of Batman. It was the one where Batman had to the 747 or whatever is flying through the heart of Gotham, and Batman is holding on with the magnetic boots and is able to talk to Alfred and relay information, and everything gets taken care of, you know, in a timely manner. In real time, that jet should have been like zip through Gotham in a couple of minutes, and yet it takes like 24 pages for this alleged story to unfold. And
Maybe you read too slow.
My lips move faster than anyone you know, Eric. So there. If I had read it, no, it wasn't. I did read slowly because that's how long it took for that stinking book to unwrap. As opposed to being on the fish where it belonged. But anyway, no, some of his run was incredibly good. Now he is good as a technical writer. Technically, his stuff reads well. Mm-hmm. But there's a few issues in there when you start to apply the logic. Once you get past the idea of aliens and science fiction stuff and things like that, once you get past that and you start applying real world physics and logic, it doesn't quite hold up. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway,
well, it is a comic book.
I know, and I have to keep reminding myself of that. But
well, again, that's why Eric's the writer, because he does have a point. Comic. People keep forgetting about two things about comic books and storyboards.
Right.
Timing is never truly given in either one, unless you're doing like a storyboard for like film or video to that magnitude. So yeah, you could have 24 pages of Bruce doing exactly that for it to unravel, and it could take a matter of seconds. And you're looking at each millisecond for each page. So you're actually going in that rapid succession. But what do I know? I just draw comics that nobody knows about.
And I'm thinking, I've considered your argument carefully, Joe. Nice try. Anyway, so we move on from there. No,
He considered it quicker than he read the book.
Yes,
the book took forever. I'm telling
Have
you.
you not seen any of these movie reviews where someone's what's the one I really like? The ones everything wrong with in 20 minutes or so or less.
Oh yeah.
They always come to a countdown where there's a countdown in the movie. They said this countdown says 10 minutes, but it took 20 minutes for this 10-minute countdown to go.
Yes. They're playing with time. They're aliens. Anyway, yes, we would consider comics from the future when we talk about trends. There we go. Thank you for saving us, Carl. Lizzie, glad you're here. Mwah, as always. Facebook user, good evening to you. Hope you're doing well. And we mentioned the guy with the raincoat. Hey, Clyde noticed my nice raincoat. And Donna says, Carl, take off your raincoat. No. No, for the love of God, do not take that off. And Carl continues, DC questions. Okay, I have these 2 batteries. That's right, the 2 batteries. They get together, they fall in love, and that's how you get C cells. Anyway, and yeah, leave Joe alone so he can mail out my comics. Okay, Joe, back to work. Anyway, Clyde's kitty is spotted. Looks like our Calvin. There we go.
Yeah. And in fact, when you posted pictures, I've had to kind of do a double take and see if it was Ginny posting a picture of ours, because they do look kind of similar, Casper and your cat. So, yeah.
Carl
Casper
stole
and
my
Calvin.
cat.
No, Eric, they have a timeshare on it.
I had a link into Eric's house. Now I have a portal into Carl's house.
Clyde Hall is the golden standard of break-in and entry. So I think we have gone through I'm pretty sure we've gone through the comments here. And if you have any more questions or comments, please leave them. We would love to read them on the air, as long as they're not anything that I would print. But anyway, which means the language get us. But anyway, we're going to do our comic book review line. We'll start with that, right?
yeah.
If you could take a minute or 2 away from the task that's really more important than this live broadcast.
Wait, will we have a
I'm already
special
prepared.
editorial
I'm
on
already prepared. So that's why I say I can multitask, but no, y'all want me 100% focused on the show, so I'm 100%.
Will Joe tell us about She-Hulk this week? Did he watch it yet?
Oh.
Why do you want me to kind of rant? I don't rant. You won't like me when I rant.
I already know he watched it because I watch a different show.
As Eric's now picking fights with Joe now.
No, he's not picking fights. I just up here was like just wondering. It's like, oh yeah, he went to that nice somber show where he could fall back to sleep called Sandman.
Yeah. I did watch the I guess bonus episode.
Huh.
Did you make it through the whole episode?
Because I was really confused because it said it was animated, but it was just filtered over actually stuff that was filmed. So I mean, it just aggravated me while I was watching it.
But did you stay awake? That's the
You
issue.
stayed
Did
awake
you stay
if you were
awake?
aggravated.
I did
yeah.
stay awake, and then I started watching. What was it? Outer Range with Josh Brolin. I kind of like it.
Oh, I like Josh Brolin.
That kept me awake. Sandman, no, can't do it.
I don't know, Carl and Donna, I don't know if you watched Sandman. Don't remember comments about you having seen it, but one of those bonus episodes is kind of 2 of the short stories that they did in the comics is called A Dream of Cats.
Oh,
Yes, it's all about cats. That's the
Very-
one that's supposed to be animated, but it looked like it was filmed, but an Instagram filter put over it.
Yeah.
like a rotoscope, more or less. Yeah. There's the cat right now.
Yep.
So, Joe, are you... hi! Hi, Jen. Unlike my wife, Jen will appear. This is good. Anyway. So, Joe, is the line open?
Yes, the line's been open. I was just saying.
I was just waiting for you guys to stop. See, and wait a second, hold on. Carl says we don't do any of the Plus networks. I pay enough for cable/internet. I pay what it's worth. So anyway, that's why I get so much work done. So anyway, here we go with Joe D. McFee and the review hotline.
Yes, welcome to Comic Book Phone. please pay attention because we do have brand new options tonight. Some you have seen before, but the new ones you probably would never guess why they're here. So, without further ado, for Red Sonja, Red Sita number 2, please press 1. For Hit Me number 2, please press 2. For Nubia, Queen of the Amazons, please press 3. For Guilt number 4, please press 4. For Captain Carter number 4, please press 5. For Good Boy number 1, please press 6. Please select now.
All right, cast your votes, America. Okay, we've got one on it already. I meant it, one. But anyway, so there's your options. And right now what we'll do is we'll take a little pause for the cause here. And we want to thank our sponsors, Rising Tide Publications and Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
If you need a great front cover or wraparound cover or the graphics you need to sell your work online, then definitely get a hold of Jeffrey Hayes. He does great work, as you just saw. That's Plasma Fire Graphics on Facebook. Then pop on over to plasmafiregraphics.com and ask about his indie creator-friendly pricing. You'll be glad you did. That's Plasma Fire Graphics when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And we also want to thank our Patreon supporters. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can support your favorite creators, and these are the wonderful people who are backing the Rising Tide, and we are forever grateful. We had a brand new blog entry come out today. We've already got Mondays taken care of. You'll definitely want to read it, and that's only $1 a month, which helps us out a lot, believe it or not. So if you want to check out all the stuff we give you and the different pledge levels we have, go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And now let's get back to democracy in action. All right, we have got, let's see, more votes come in. Let's see.
We almost had a recount because we got kind of like a tie going on here.
Okay, well, we've got Carl Wisman with 4, and Donna Carleen asking for 4, and Eric and Lissy are with 6.
I'm going to join in on that 6 also. I want to see what, I want to see what the first issue of that is like.
And I want 2 more people to vote for 1. Anyway,
hey, let me log into one of my sock accounts.
No, actually, 6 does sound pretty good, but I think it's everybody, right?
Yeah, I think that's everybody here. I don't count Facebook users because they don't make themselves known, but everybody else. Well, Ted didn't say nothing, but we don't know if Ted is still there or he got hemmed up.
They could be.
Well, if you didn't have Hellboy, Ted doesn't care.
Yeah, or Superman, because you know that thing about protesting too much? I'm just saying. And Lissy says Nora voted for 3, but she's not 18, so her vote doesn't count yet. How old is Nora?
9.
9? Okay, that's half of 18, so she voted for 1.5, which if you round down is 1.
Right.
Well, that doesn't help any of the voting, though.
No, but with Clyde's last vote, that does break the tie that was going on.
Did Ted finally vote?
No, I said with Clyde.
Oh, with Clyde. Excuse me, I thought I heard Ted. Never mind.
No, Clyde
Even better.
broke it, but that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't think Ted's here, so Ted would be like the only outstanding one. So
Had your chance, Ted. I'm telling you.
yeah, without you being here, we can go ahead and move on.
All right.
That means the winner of tonight is going to be a book
I would hope
from
so.
one of the few creators that I actually took a class from.
Oh.
Really?
Yes.
Colin Bunn?
No. No. Why would I do that? That's asking for career suicide.
So you're taking a class with me? Wait a minute.
So the win. Oh, Ted did vote. He voted for 6. And guess what?
Good job, Ted.
No.
Good job, Ted.
Hold on. I'm taking his original.
No, but guess what? It's like he voted for the actual winner itself.
And we have one more here. Cindy Cat votes for 2.8 of a third. We love you, Cindy. CKOEPP.com. Check out that website. She's awesome.
Cindy might actually like this book too, because it may not be about birds, but it is about animals. And tonight's winner is Good Boy number 1.
Yay.
Now, the reason I said what I said here is because the writer on this book
One more.
is Garrett Gunn and Christina Blanche.
Hi, Chris.
Now, the
Hi,
reason
Chrissy.
I bring that up is that I did take this one comic book course that Christina Blanche did at Ball State. You know, it was an online course and everything. And she owns her own store there in Indiana as well. So she is, you know, kind of like making a very good name for herself in the comic book industry. So showing my support here, I just went ahead. It's like, you know what? I heard some nice things about it. Let me go ahead and give it a shot here. So, like I say, this is written by Garrett Gunn and Christina Blanche, artwork done by Kit Wallace, and the lettering is done by Dave Wentz. So, long story short, what this book is about. Because if I started to tell you the story about it, it kind of ruins it. It is a parody. And this is kind of like a parody story of, if you are familiar with the story of John Wick. This is kind of like a reversal of fortune type deal. Instead of the dog dying, John Wick dies. They don't call him John Wick. They just say John. And it's Jon, not John.
Holy
But
copyright violation.
Yeah. They don't use the word Wick, and they call him Jon, John, that way. So pretty much it starts out with the dog having self-reflection, talking about, you know, how humans always have like last will and testaments and everything. And it was kind of, like I said, it shows that, you know, it shows kind of like an action scene there to kind of give you the idea about who his master was and everything. And, you know, he's at the gravestone talking to, you know, John, like, you know, he was still around and whatnot. And he was, you know, showing how much of a companion he was, and how he used to help him out on all these different missions and everything, and all of this retrospect and everything. And then eventually when he passed, he came across it, and he, you know, he had a certain reaction to it, and he felt sad about it. But he didn't feel just sad. He wants revenge. So pretty much he's up here, was there when John took his last breath and everything. And pretty much, he was thinking, it's like how he used to be such a good boy and everything. And then the person who was there took the collar away from him, which was given to him by John. So the dog's actual name is Flint. So his collar was taken away and everything. And then, he finally leaves the gravestone and says, "See you around, John," and this, that, and the other. And then we have this shadowy figure somewhere else in the city talking about, it's like, we got a problem, boss. It's like, the dog. We have to deal with the dog. So it's like everything that's going on that is like kind of like a reverse of what actually happened in the actual movie, and we show what Flint actually did to this dude several years before. So it kind of goes back to where he goes back to his master's house, and he's like getting ready to go for this long flight, and they have the whole picture there with John and his, love and Flint all together and whatnot, and talking about how they used to be like this one big happy family and everything. And he's preparing himself for the long war that's coming to pass for him to get his so-called revenge and everything, and how he's about to get ready to call in all these favors with these specialized coins and whatnot. So he finally locks up everything. He goes and gets the beat up old truck and everything. He makes his first rounds, which is that he went to go get some more supplies and everything. He leaves the house. He shares one tear because he knows he's not coming back. It's like he knows that he's about to get ready to go on a suicide mission. So he finally meets up with, I suspect it was a next door neighbor, but it's actually one of his contacts here. And they actually meet up and everything, and they exchange pleasantries and some other things, and he gives her one of those coins, and it's like, hey, I'll see you around. He was like, nope, you would probably never ever see me again. So he starts off his journey to get his revenge, and he stops at like this local gas station. So the person that owns the gas station was sitting there like out in front and everything. They have a pleasant conversation and everything. So he fuels up, he goes in, takes care of his stuff in the bathroom and everything, comes back with a beer, and then he sees a different clerk out there on the front at the front desk, and he was kind of like, well, what happened to the other girl, this, that, and the other? Yeah, it's like, oh, she had something else better to do. And he kind of like looked back at the truck and saw the cigarette bouncing around. It's like he kind of put two and two together right there, just blew the dude's brains out. And then that's when all hell breaks loose, and they kind of like try to ambush him before he actually start his mission and everything. And lo and behold, he comes out the victor, and he saves old girl who was hiding up under the counter, who they had up under the counter all tied up and whatnot. And he kind of apologized for all the mess that he made. He paid for his stuff. He gets a phone call. And he tells the person on the phone, it's like, yep, your people are dead. I'll be coming for you next. So here's the thing that I was kind of laughing at about this book here. It's like the police finally get there. The clerk is there. It's like, so you going to? It's like, so then there was this giant crazy dog assassin who fought to the death. It's like, I don't know why you're acting so suspicious of me. It's like, anthropomorphic characters exist in literary universe. I was like, I thought that was a very smart joke at the time that it occurred. Because like, think about it. It's like, yeah, it's really like a personification. Is it personification? Anthropomorphism is just weird to me when you do it in a comic book form, but when you do it right, it fits. And that's kind of like what I was looking at here. So after, everything was being done at the police station, you see this limo kind of like pass by, and then you get another phone call. And then, it's telling the boss, it's like, hey, it's like, we told you. It's like, and he was like, well, fucking handle it. It's like, well, okay, fine. And then we see the other dog that's there saying, no, we're going to do this together. And it says to be continued. And that's pretty much the story up to this point as of right now. Now, I do have issue number 2. So it may pop up here on Comic Book Phone as a whole here. But for my thoughts on this book here, I like it for its simplicity. I like it for the fact that, like I said, it's a parody book. It's a parody book, and it's a pretty decent parody saying up the idea of anthropomorphic dog, even though he really wasn't. But to make the story work, he had to be.
Mhm.
To make the story revolve around the fact that, you know, his master was who he was, but yet not saying that it was. And then the fact that he also has similar skills to him as far as dealing with situations. It was kind of like a good take on the matter. And it's like kind of like one of those things. It's like it's a good homage to, you know, to somebody who loves those types of movies as a whole here. Now, as a IP, you know, what does it stand out as a whole here? It's like, to be quite honest, I don't see this as being a very, you know, long-standing, or as I call it, an ongoing series. It's like I have a sneaky suspicion that it's definitely going to have a definite end, and it's not going to run, you know, a whole, you know, it's not going to be like in the hundreds where you're going to have Good Boy. Maybe, you know, at best it might be like a 10 issue or 12 issue maxi series. I don't know. I don't know if this volume had a full run. I just know that there were so many different stories that were told up under the Good Boy title. But with that being stated here, I give Good Boy number 1 I would say a 7 out of 10. I mean, it's good enough reading to make you go on to the second issue here. I think the topic, if you're really a fan of John Wick and you wanted to see what if the shoes were on the other foot, it's a great read. But as far as those who may not be into anthropomorphic characters and everything, does it get you over that hump? Not really, but it is a decent enough story so far being told where you could dive into it and feel like you got kind of like your money's worth out of it.
Excellent.
Cool.
Mhm.
Sounds cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to bring something new and different, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. That's great.
That's what this is about, really, I think. So,
I mean, I try not to stick with one genre. It's like I don't stick with superheroes. I don't stick with sci-fi. I just like try to mix it up. I try. Emphasis on try.
Product
Hey,
placement.
I even tried horror. Eric. Hey, you saw what that got me. It got me a bad book with that Tales of Techno Horror for Black Caravan.
Mhm.
I tried. You
But
can't
it
say I
got you
don't.
Daisy, if that can be classified. I don't know if I classify that.
That's
even
not
as
horror. That's more like a thriller.
Yeah.
It's not horror.
we're more horrible than anything. Anyway, Christy Summer, we're glad you're here. She voted for a 3, and she's got Nora's back. And Jennifer Hawkins is showing solidarity too. Everyone's saying hello. And funny, breaking the fourth wall there about anthropomorphism. And Donna liked that too, Carl. Excellent. Yeah, I like that. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Well, thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate that.
Yep.
And now let's move on to Eric Hawkins. What have you got for us this week, Eric?
Well, I picked this up actually a few weeks ago, and I never got around to reading it until today. So I thought I'd better start reading some of the books I got stacking up around here. But this one is The Brother of All Men, and it's from Aftershock. And it's written by, who wrote this? Zach Thompson, who's also done some books I've never heard of, and Kazar, which I have heard of. And by artist Ian Moran, who did Killer Groove, which sounds pretty interesting. I might want to go check that out. Sounds like a bad 70s disco dance. But this was pretty interesting. It's set in 1928. And let me go back to this. Yeah. So the main character, which I forgot his name already because I just read it today, but it's Guy Horn. He's a veteran of the Great War and a private detective. And that's him on the cover here. And this is Brother 12, a leader of a cult. So, guys, he's got his photograph, and he's headed across Canada. And in the photograph, it's his brother, this man, the Brother 12, who's the leader of the cult, and this lady. Well, this lady's husband has hired him to find his wife. And when he got the photo, he didn't realize his brother would be in it because he was told his brother had died of the flu. So now he's sitting across Canada to go find this cult and this man. And every town he stops in, they don't want to talk about him. And they start getting all agitated and start picking fights with him. Another interesting thing about Guy here is, let me find a good picture. The art is very nice on this. I'll give it that.
Nice.
Very cool. The story's laid out very nice. The flow's really good. I want to find a good picture of him and his face. Because people in World War One, some of them had facial injuries. They had a mask that looked like their face over. Let's see,
Yeah.
you could kind of tell it's a mask, yeah. But it's so you got this mask that's painted like your face, covering half your face, and he tells. Now that's his brother there who doesn't recognize him. Might be because he's missing half his head. He says a sniper blew off half his face. But he finds the cult finally after he goes off on a priest in the hall in a alley after he got drunk and beat up. Then someone comes along and says, "You need to join the Aquarian Brotherhood." A message from the 12 Masters, and it's signed by Brother 12. So he goes. He gets on a boat with these other people. They go out there and they wander around. They meet Brother 12, and you see it's a cult right away. It's a cult. It's definitely going to be a cult. And there's a good picture of Brother 12 in his mask, which it doesn't show his face. He wears the mask through this whole first issue. But he tells them of his visions and all this, and if they want to stay, they have to. They're going to have to strip naked.
Oh boy!
And he's going to put them in a hole, and they have to breathe through a tube. They have to get rid of all their belongings, and he buries them. I guess to test their faith. It was an interesting read. I enjoyed it. I don't read a lot of comics from that time era. I don't know of many, but it was pretty cool. Like the art's good. There's a good flow. I understood everything. I didn't have to go look up what it was about. It's a good story. I'll probably pick up the next issue, which I think's already out. Another thing about Aftershock, they do some really, really thick covers. And thick paper. I mean, it's better quality than you even get through DC and Marvel, which I'm shocked at.
Yeah, they make them to last.
Yeah, and there's not that many ads in here.
Yeah.
In fact, is there a ad? Other comic books and CBSC at the end, but or not. No. I do recommend it if you like a nice thriller mystery regarding cults, which a lot of people love their cults. So, yeah, I'm going with Joe on this. I'm going with a 7 tonight.
Okay.
7 out of 10. I enjoyed it, and I will pick up the next issue. And I'm not going to throw it since I liked it.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy
I got
crap.
the second issue. Carl brings up an interesting point. I did not know it was based on an actual Canadian cult, but it is.
It is. I did not know that.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, look at what Carl's got
Brother
here.
Now I
Oh,
got
well,
the research.
And
Wow.
Donna,
Wasn't there a cult in Canada where the leader was called Brother Some Number? And Donna Carly verifies that is Brother 12 in the 1920 and 30s. Yes, founded on Wikipedia, Edward Arthur Wilson. And Lissy says the plastic surgery they were starting to do in and after World War I is amazing, but horrifying looking. Actually, from I think around the time of the Civil War, reconstructive surgery was just starting to come into vogue, but it was very crude, especially by today's standards. Harold Gillies was a pioneer in it for those interested in that rabbit hole. Otherwise, it does sound like an interesting story. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you.
Well,
and just the
now I
fact
know
that
there's
it's based on
cult.
a real cult, and they're in Canada. I mean, this is dead on from what Carl and Donna have shared. So that makes my appreciation of it go up even more. And I liked it to start with, even before your review.
I might have to give it an 8 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to
Hold
say,
on to the 7 so I read the second issue.
because I like things that have like a basis in history.
Yeah.
And it's verifiable. And
if they all get out of the graves, I'll give it. I'll go back and give this one an 8. I don't know yet. I have to wait to.
Clyde, scan it real fast. Let Eric know if he needs to up his pledge or not. So, but thank you, Eric.
Yeah, that was good.
That was awesome. That was really cool. That sounds interesting. Yes, one effect this show has had on us, plus our brother Brian Rodman, is that we're all going broke. Brian Rodman. Yeah, we're all going broke because we are buying these comics that everyone else says are good. So, and Carl Winsman says, "You know me. I like taking these historic mysteries and playing with them."
Me too.
Yeah, me too. Definitely check out Carl Witzman on Lulu.com, and check out Donna Carlene while you're at it too. They've got books on Lulu.com. Definitely check out Carl's The Mad Gasser Cheerleader of Calhoun County and the sequel to that book. It is good with covers by our very own Mr. Eric Hawkins. So you know it's awesome. Excellent.
You know, he's a good writer too. I heard. I don't know.
I heard but he can't spell worth a damn. Let me tell you.
If people read Zombiful Adventures, they might not think so.
No, everybody's got to check out Zombiful Adventures when it comes out because you're going to see some familiar people in that book, and it's not just his compatriots here. So you definitely want to check that book out when it comes out.
I am also going to be when I launch the campaign. There's going to be be drawn into the book.
Oh,
nice.
3. I'm going to offer 3 people. I mean, obviously they're going to get killed and turned into zombies, but yeah. But they'll have 3 pages basically dedicated to them.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice. Very nice.
Excellent. Comic book immortality.
But the question here is, was my detective skills correct as far as who survives?
There's that, yes. Let's see. Yes, I'm preparing my section here. There we go. Okay, there. All right, I will do some reviews real fast. So, here we go. Pretty good load this week. Knights at the Dinner Table as Bob Herzog fills in for Weird Pete at the table in Muncie, Indiana, a different table. And this is just a whole lot of fun from first story to last. The Black Hands, who is a different set of groups from the Knights. This one is definitely a 9 out of 10. I did dig it. Action Comics. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. At least in this one, thank God, they have got yet another artist who does. They brought
Steel back?
Say what?
They brought Steel back. If I saw it correctly,
Steel has been in the backup feature, A World Without Clark Kent.
So Jeremy Irons is back.
That's right. Right. But here's the nice thing about this feature, though. Superman actually shows some superpowers. Look at that. He's flying. We haven't seen that in over a year. The art is pretty decent. And let me find that name here, because I don't know that I will be able to pronounce it correctly. The stories by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Fico Ossio, with colors by Lee Lawfridge and letters by Dave Sharp. It is good. It ends on a nice little cliffhanger. Superman finally in super action. Thank God. And
how many pages did you have to go through to find those credits?
All of them. Is that the end of the Superman story? And there's the spoiler. Oops. Anyway, and David Lapham, who did a lot of stuff for Jim Shooter at Valiant and Broadway Comics, etc., is still drawing the backup feature with the rest of the Superman family. Yes, Steel is there. I always like Steel myself. And a fairly obscure character from the old Silver Age Superman. But anyway, that's not bad. I'm giving this an 8.5. I see that Superman will be coming back to Earth and will be back in the familiar red, blue, and yellow, and I can't wait. I've had enough of Clark the Barbarian. I'm sorry. Now, we also have 3 other books. Now, this one I am getting on Comixology, and it is Chip Zdarsky writing and drawing The Public Domain. This is a great book. Mm-hmm. And I'm reading the e-version, but I finally saw a copy of the print version. And this is a 20. Basically, it's like a smaller package. Don't make fun. Anyway, you can't help it, especially when it's cold. But anyway, it's a smaller package, like about 24 or so pages. But the story starts on the back cover, the inside front cover, rather.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the last 2 pages, the back cover and inside back cover, are the only ads in the whole thing. It is solid story. Oops, I just lost it there. Come on back. There we go. But in this issue, we find out more about the kids of the creator. Someone loses their job, and you'll find out why. One of them has a bad gambling habit, and the other brother has a habit of going off the script when it comes to the tattoos he delivers. And anyway, the negotiations with the big company begins, and I've know enough from mutual friends that have worked in the industry. This is what they tell you when you go up against them. You could win, but and then it ends on a nice little cliffhanger, nice little something that makes me want to get issue 4. This one's a 10 out of 10. Chip Zdarsky, art and story. He's a great writer, but I'm really impressed with his art too. And Eric, seeing as how this guy's a writer and can also draw, take hope. Take hope, young man. But anyway, I've got to explain. Well, see, the 5 of us, this includes Brian Rodman. We have a channel that we talk on Facebook, a DM channel, and it usually consists of sharing information, sharing stuff that's going on with us, and basically ridiculing me. So anyway, which is fair and it's healthy for them. Anyway, Eric received a compliment on being such a good writer. Do I have that pretty well represented, Eric?
Yeah. He told me that I was, he preferred my writing to my art. He thought, but he said both are excellent, but he thinks I'm a better writer than an artist. I'm like,
well, and I understand that, Eric, because I don't edit your art.
No, I don't allow you to.
I made you draw an extra zombie, so there.
Did you look at the trade paperback?
Yes.
It's already gone.
What? Glenn, call me. I want to.
So yeah, that comment, I felt, okay, that's nice, but I almost felt a little insulted.
Kind of a backhanded.
No, it wasn't bad.
No, because he said I'm excellent at both, and he's Czechoslovakian, so maybe it got lost in translation. So.
Yeah, he didn't mean to give you all those compliments on your art. Anyway,
it did Bruce's ego because, like I said, the caveat that I told him is that I don't tell people that I draw. So when I actually do it, it comes off as a surprise to them because if they knew, I was like, you get comments like that.
There you go. See?
Yeah, it kicked me in the ego pretty good.
So then Eric proceeded to take it out on me. But anyway, I can take it though. But anyway, we have 2 more comics to go through, and I'm really excited by this new one here. I missed the first 26 issues though, but this looks really good. I'm really excited by this. I think this has possibilities. Because there's
it does have Thomas Wayne in it, doesn't it?
I believe it does. It also has Cosmo, the Phantom of Disguise. And Flatfoot Finnegan, and
no Eel O'Brien.
No, darn it!
Isn't that Billy Finger? Isn't that some of his work?
Yes, it is. Yes, and Robert Klein. But anyway, but no, what this is a replica of Detective Comics number 27 from 1939. See, 1939, and it has like all the original ads, and it has a number of names that, of course, you'd recognize, like Bill Finger and Bob Kane, although you'd have to know it's Bill Finger. But Fred Gardner, who went on to draw Doctor Strange. Sven Elvin, H. Fleming, not Glenn Fleming, but H. Fleming, who also were in Action Comics #1. This was edited by Vince Sullivan. And then Spy and Slam Bradley by a pair called Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. That's pretty entertaining. Crimson Avenger, who was the actual very first costume superhero from DC Comics, National Periodicals publication. And here's something you may not know. Paul Dean here. The name may not be familiar. This is a pen name for Gardner Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So he used this on Skyman. He also used it on Starman too, the Ted Knight version, not the guy from Mary Tyler Moore. And Bruce Nelson from Tom Hickey, the mysterious Fu Manchu, because you can't get enough Yellow Apparel, and Alger with Plainclothes Pete. It's just a really fun look at how comics used to be, and DC is doing a series of these like about once a month now. And I had an idea about these that I might outline later that I think would be a good use for DC. This is just for the nostalgic version, and the entire issue of Detective Comics has only been reprinted once, back in a Treasury edition back in the 70s, I believe. So definitely, this is worth picking up. It's about $6-7, or no, $6.99, and it's definitely worth picking up if you want to get a really interesting glimpse into our comic book history. I definitely give this a 10 out of 10.
So you're not going to add an acetate cover and then get it slabbed?
Don't reveal my plans, Joe. So anyway, now the real winner this week was the penultimate. Yes, number 10 will be the last issue of the Blue Flame. This is where everything is coming to a head. The defense of Earth is going. The trial to defend Earth is going very poorly. The only thing that's going worse in the Blue Flame's life is his life here on Earth. We get a glimpse into the shooter from issue 1, and we find out a little surprise about him, what his motivation was, and what it had to do with the real-life superhero team. The art is great. The coloring looks, although it's the same colors, it has like a different look to it that I still like. But everything is coming to a head here, and the next issue... It's
still Kurt, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it's still Christopher Cantwell's still the writer, Adam Gorham's still the writer, and Kurt Michael Russell is still the colorist. It's taken more, less of a painted look, I think. Now, I'm not complaining, and it may be something deliberate to do with the storytelling. But it is really, really good. A great character-driven comic book. And number 9 is really heading like an express train towards the ending. I'm giving this a 10 because it's really great reading over and over again. There's a lot of emotion in this. There's a language. I'll give it a language warning. It's not safe for work, so when you read it out loud, make sure you speak clearly. But anyway, Blue Flame, and when the 10th issue comes out, we will review it, and we will review the entire series too. But definitely, I think the three you need to pick up this week are Public Domain, Detective 27 Replica, and the Blue Flame number 9. Or wait a couple months and wait for the Blue Flame trade paperback. It's inevitable, but it's definitely a story worth telling.
It's been one of the best reads of the year.
It really has. I picked it up on a whim because it was one of those weeks where all I had was the regular stuff, and I wanted to just review something a little different, and it looked good. So I my instincts didn't fail me. It was just a really super title. And I like the fact that so much of it does take place here on Earth, with real life issues and real life consequences.
We always hold up the Watchmen and that kind of affair as if there were really superheroes, people would probably be like this. But there's an everyday kind of feel about these characters. None of them are perfect. They all have issues, and we get to dive into each. It's not a big cast of characters, but each one we know intimately well. There are times when they shine, and times when they fail, and the characterization especially is just superb.
It's spot on.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah, I agree with you completely, Clyde. Yeah, this has been a very special read, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, the horror of this alien species that has, we're still not certain how much of this is real. I think it's kind of held up that it's a real deal, but it could all be in his mind. We're not sure yet.
Mhm.
We'll find out next issue. But
Yeah.
the fate of humanity, that the alien, that this trial is to decide, that's one of the most terrifying ideas I've ever heard, just because of its completeness. If we fail, Earth becomes a silver ball. It will never support life. Everything, every other, it's not just humans, it's every life form, all cats, dogs, trees. It's like it's tainted. It's got to just all go.
Yeah.
That's a terrifying I've never heard that complete of a destruction. It's like most times it's like we'll let something else have a chance to become the apex life form. But no, they're afraid that whatever infected the human race, it was part of the planet. So so these are the stakes that we're looking at here.
Yeah, and it also, to me, ties into a real science. We're talking about real life earlier. I want to call it like the Fermi paradigm, and it was constructed. It's basically what would happen if we were to encounter extraterrestrials for real. Yeah. And one of the theorems is that they would look at us the way we look at germs. Mm-hmm. We could not communicate, and thus they would have no way of knowing we were sentient and somewhat intelligent most of the time, and might wipe us out. And also the fact that, that we wouldn't have the same, like, germs, etc., War of the Worlds sort of thing. It's a really complex issue, but this reminds me of that in a lot of ways. And also we have the idea that the prosecutor in the alien trial, who's representing the big bad here, the big bad aliens that are going to destroy the Earth if the Blue Flame doesn't get his act together. His planet was iced. His planet, they did away with it, and part of the mystery is, why is he still around? Because part of it is that they introduced earlier that if the Blue Flame fails, he dies with the planet. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to that final issue. I'm really hoping it comes out. This is one of those books where you read it and you want the next issue right down now.
Right.
It's already done, as far as I know. But I do watch Kurt's coloring channel.
Oh, it's great.
And if you want to know why that one might be colored differently, look for when he was coloring that one. Go through his videos, because he explains why he uses every palette on everything he does.
Cool. I will look.
And he's already coloring the next book he's doing from Vault, end after end, which looks really good. It comes out in September. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I like Clyde mentioned like Aftershock, and I agree. They have really high production. There are some companies coming out like Vault and Ahoy that have really good production values.
Their output is small, but man, the quality is generally really good.
Yeah, and Vault has attracted some names that I have heard of, like just looking in the back here, Cy Spurrier, who's done stuff for Marvel.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else. Mostly writers. Cullen Bunn does that last book you'll ever read.
Now there's a book that I was interested in the first couple issues, but then it just turned into porn.
Yeah.
Even the covers were porn. You could buy the black bagged cover, open it up, and it's whoa. You had a penthouse. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, yes. Okay. And also there's the same people that did Rewrite Titans, which I reviewed last week, which was also one of my favorite books this year. So so we definitely, there's some good stuff out there, kids. And for anyone who says that all we do is review mainstream stuff, well then read between the lines. We do better than that. We do a lot better than that. In fact, I've got a pile of books that some of my Kickstarters just came in.
Oh, I've saved my Kickstarters for my own channel, but I could bring some of the stuff that I probably about recent stuff we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I got some like my Silverline comics, Twilight Grim. This is and the shine you see is on the cover. It's not from my light. Okay.
I'm talking about recent stuff that I just got in the mail, like Wonder Duck #1.
Yeah. And I got Karen Nicole's Unstable Frequencies. I've got to review that. It's good. It looks good.
And Brink and Fetch Just Want to Have Fun, #1.
Oh, that looked good. I almost pledged that. It came during one of those points where I spent too much on this show.
There's an alien in my toilet, #1 and #2. I mean,
that's funny.
I mean, a whole bunch of stuff was just coming in and left and right and right and left.
Yeah.
The graphic novel called PBOW, Pregnant Bitches of War.
Nice.
So,
is that Nikola Tesla?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
okay.
definitely.
Cool. All right.
Yes, I mean, it's a lot of indie stuff, but like I normally review the indie stuff on my channel. I can bring them over. Bring those over.
Yeah, and I just got some Silverline stuff.
Yeah.
And I like Twilight Grin because R.A. Jones and a buddy of mine, Rob Davis, who's at Airship 27, they used to do a series back in the 80s or 90s that I love called Scimitar, about an empathic assassin for hire. And and they have reunited in this. I got all 3 issues of that, plus Beyond the Stars by another friend of mine, Ron Fortier.
Ooh.
And that looked good. And then they've got a omnibus book.
Wow.
That I also picked up from them during a recent sale. It's got the Obsoletes in here, and who's the other? And Cray, I think it is. A Barbarian title. It looks really, really good, and so hoping to get to these eventually.
I'm afraid my last Kickstarter back's not going to fund
Oh.
the Steampunk Carol.
Oh yeah.
They have 16 hours to go, and they're about 1,400 from their goal.
Ooh.
Of course, their goal was 16,000. They are at 14,600.
Wow.
There's still life left.
Yeah,
There's hope. Yeah.
that last push, they could get there.
Yeah, they might make it. Let's Well, Eric, if you have a link to that, if you want to post that?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, why don't you do that? And maybe somebody will take an interest. If you see this before that campaign ends, please check it out. There's a lot of really great stuff out there on crowdfunding, and to hell with Diamond. I really kudos to Lunar, but I'm thinking Kickstarter and Indiegogo are going to become the next big, distributors of comics. Well, anyway, we've got comments here. Lissy wants to be a zombie.
Oh, shit.
What a great parent here. And you don't hear that very often, Lissy, says Carl Witzman. Eep, says Cindy Kep. And I don't want to be a zombie. I understand there's a lot of walking, says Donna Carly. I just hate the taste of brains, that's all. My grandmother used to eat that stuff. Ugh. Anyway, and the other monsters aren't taking applications right now. And Carl Monster.
But there might be other monsters in the future.
There you go.
Yeah, because some of the universes you cross over, there's stuff besides zombies there.
That's true. That's very true. And Cindy Kemp, who would know, says, I'm not concerned about intelligent life on other worlds. I taught for 14 years and worked retail. There's not much intelligence on this one.
Wow.
I agree. And Christy Selmer says, Clyde,
Thank
I
you.
love your shirt. Schoolhouse Rock is the best. Show that off.
Yes. Knowledge is power.
And I dug it up because I think Eric, you have one like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wore it a couple weeks ago, so I was like, I've got one of those. I gotta find it again. I had it buried in some of the other things, but yeah, I like Schoolhouse Rock.
And
so
all
thank you.
Schoolhouse Rocks are on Disney Plus, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It sure isn't on.
I have a DVD set of it somewhere.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
too.
well, at least it wasn't on HBO Max.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Yeah. There's not much left on HBO Max. We were talking about that this week.
Yeah.
So,
I believe Pretty Little Liars they brought back.
Yeah. Good for them. So.
Target demographic. I'm not going to say it.
That's right, yeah. Yes, and welcome to my world when you find out that you're not part of that demographic anymore. So, yeah. Get the hell off my lawn. Anyway, so if 3 of us have done our reviews already, you know what that means.
It's gold standard time.
Gold standard time. Come on up to the plate, Clyde Hall. What have you done for us?
Well, I was digging out some other things, and I did find this. I've shown you my Captain Action custom collections before.
Space
Space Ghost. Before it was Coast to Coast. This is the adventuresome Space Ghost. And
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
He hadn't seen the light of day in a long time. I thought, the crew would probably appreciate that.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. And Cindy, real fast here, I'm going to catch up to the comments. Cindy says, golly, that's quite a goal. You are so right. And you're right about that, Christy, says Carl Witzman. And Christy says, I can't remember my phone number, but Lord knows I can sing you the Constitution. Yeah.
I've told you before, when we were sitting there doing the junior year Constitution test that was required in high school, I swear somebody started humming "We the People" in order to, because there were questions about it. And before long, the whole class was, and the teacher finally was like, yeah.
As long as it works, that's all that matters.
That's right.
It could have been worse. I could have been up here humming conjunction, junction.
Function.
Not helpful in that situation.
And Schoolhouse Rock helped me so much in school. Lissy, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Too bad the girls don't like it. They'll come
No,
around.
they don't. I tried to get them to watch it multiple times.
Oh man,
I'll sit there for hours.
They don't know what's good for them.
Exactly.
Conjunction, junction, and verb, and zero my hero.
Yeah.
Jolly, get your adverbs here.
Yeah.
Coast to coast from Carl, and maybe if you made a song about your phone number, Christy. It's not Carlene. I did something like that. That's how I got through psychology in summer school. So anyway, thank you for letting me interrupt you, Clyde.
Oh, that's okay. And Casper
Hi,
has come. Yeah, Casper has come back to help me review
Casper.
the comics. Now, I picked my top reads this week, and I did this before the show. So, but top of the list.
Yep.
The Blue Flame. Yeah, I agree. Everything Brian said, ditto. It's great. One that surprised me, and it really ranked higher than I expected it to. Minor Threats.
I saw that. I was tempted by that. And I saw it had Patton Oswalt. I like his work.
I do too. But we've had a lot of and it's a Dark Horse comic, so that it spoke well for it. But we've had a lot of these famous people co-writing comics, and so I wasn't sure. But Oswalt's a writer, so I really appreciated. This is sort of like, what if Marvel's D-list heroes decided that as a sudden change in rules and the game between superheroes and supervillains becoming much, much deadlier all of a sudden, they were going to band together to take out the major threat and try to restore the balance. It has some great character introductions, has a great main character in Fluffy co-host. That's right. It has a former sidekick who ends up having Meta powers and becomes, it's like her mother was the main villainess, and yet she actually helped them make money because she had powers even as a kid. Playmate, Toy Queen, and Playmate. And Playmate, now that she's an adult, is the one that kind of gets them all together, this D-list of villains, to help the heroes take out the major threat and restore a balance that is less deadly than it has become. Great first issue. I will be on board for the whole run of this unless it sinks. Valid link for the Schoolhouse Rock stuff when I was teaching was tricky. This link kept going invalid. Oh, okay. But I would recommend this highly. And Donna, you were talking about recommendations like from previews and early solicitations. One of the podcasts I listen to, they do that a lot. They have ahead about 3 months. I will do my best to jot down some of the ones I'm tracking, and I will include that in the future of things that are coming out in the future to look out for. So good recommendation, Donna. Thank you.
Not a bad idea at all.
Yeah. I listen to it every time, every month. No, they do a monthly show that's kind of based on that, and I listen to it, but I never thought to present. I write down the things that I want, like the comic shop to pull, but I never really thought to share it.
Were you talking about the one with Scott Reed?
No, this one is Casual Wednesdays by Doom Rocket.
Okay, because I
Jared
know
Jones and Molly Jane Kramer.
Okay, because I know Scott Reed and some people, Mike No of some shops. Indelible, yeah, or not? Yeah. No, that's Dave Noe. Mike No has a shop in Thomasboro, Illinois.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and they do a monthly flip through previews, and maybe guys, maybe we need to do that when preview. Now, I don't read previews, but I do read the DC section. I know you're all surprised, but
I know you just pick it up anyway.
Well, no, they gave it to me because they got tired of me calling in because I'd see something like on Bleeding Cool. Could you get that for me? So they're like, here, just get it. Just go through and tell us what you want. Okay. So, but maybe we could do that when the new issue comes out. We'll make some recommendations.
Or we could just flip through leagueofcomicgeeks.com.
That's a very good idea, Eric. I do like that. I'm honestly, I'm not to derail you, Clyde, but I am so glad that you recommended that to me, Eric. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
It helps a lot. So anyway, I'm sorry, Clyde. You were saying?
Oh,
was that the Human Target? Oh my gosh!
This is kind of a fill-in issue because they took a break. This is a Tom King ongoing or Tom King limited series, and they got about halfway through the run. He wanted to take a break. It's a mystery. It's going well. This is just kind of a fill-in before they resume, and it deals with a lot of the characters from the Human Target miniseries that they were doing in the murder mystery. So we get a lot of, especially the artwork here is by Kevin McGuire, and we get a lot of the Justice League International characters that have been in that murder mystery, and we get them in this, where they've all had interactions with the Human Target. It starts off, and it's one of those which you're not really sure where it's going, and it's different characters and different stories. It's singular adventures of these characters, like Guy Gardner and Fire, but the Human Target connects it all together, and really, really a fun read. I also picked out Public Domain.
Yay!
Because of the insider information of this follows about every horror story that I've ever heard from, behind the scenes of comics, from creators' rights to company rights to, we're a major comic book publisher or corporation, and we are going to, you may win. Of course, you'll never see any of it. Maybe your great grandchildren will, but maybe it'll give you a better mausoleum or a headstone, but we will keep you in court forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and Rogues Gallery #2 came in. Now this is the one that had all of the I did a review on it a while back where it had all of the fans that were upset because this Red Rogues TV show, the star of it bought this very collectible comic book. And, they're the true fans. It should go to a true fan, not some celebrity that's made a fortune off of portraying this character. With all the insights and the gripes and the complaints that we've seen for our characters that have been put into a live action format. And they decide that they're going to go perhaps relieve her of this unworthy person. The true fans are going to own this comic book. Think of an Action Comics #1 that they're going to go take it from her, and they're dressed in cosplay. Well, this is the same story, the lead up to their conflict, told from the point of view of the celebrity, who has been a fan of the Red Rogue characters since she was 12 years old. Never thought she would have the chance to get a piece of the history of this character that she loves, and that's why she gets the book. But it's a very interesting counterpoint to this ongoing dispute between the true fans, quote unquote, which is really, some of them are toxic fans, and this person that has made a good living for 8 seasons portraying this character in a TV show. So, all right. But Eric had a cult in his comic. I have a cult in my comic too this week. This is from IDW, and it's called True Cult or
Ooh.
Travi Cult. They said that they used the V style of U because that kind of hints back to black metal rock. Some of the, and that's mentioned in here. This guy's the main character's love of rock from the 90s. So, but True Cult. It is from IDW. This is the first issue. It's a 5-issue limited series, and it had in an IDW preview. They had a little bit of it, and I was really hooked by just the few pages that they showed in that. And so I put it on my pull list. True Cult #1 is part of a 5-issue limited series, and it's from IDW, $3.99 cover price, written by Scott Bryan Wilson. The art is by Liana Congas. The colors are by Gab Contreras, and the letters by DC Hopkins. Maturity level, it's pretty darn mature. So while I write for various sites, this is my own independent feature, and it should not be considered representing any views of those sites or of Comic Book Spectrum for that matter. So let's get into the artwork here. This is the first time that I have seen Liana Congas. She has done some covers for some of my favorite reads, but I think this is the first time I've seen her do the sequentials. And I think that for this kind of story, she's a perfect choice. This is about a guy who has worked for 15 years in a fast food place. And he has an ideal about how, all the brochures about customer service and things, he takes to heart. And over the 15 years, he's come to see that reality is different. It doesn't pan out the way that everybody says it's going to. But he's also quiet. He's a very good employee, and he watches the strip mall where he works. And he engineers a daring robbery. Now, this is a guy that's been stuck in the same dead-end job for 15 years. And this is like his first real taking the bull by the horns and doing something, excuse me, that is going to change the course of his life. So we see some of the aftermath. I love the Contreras' coloration here. I really, really like that. If I had to stare at that kind of an interior of a fast food place for 15 years, I would probably commit robbery too. I think it's just every store has its own color scheme, and they are they're taxing. Let's put it that way. Here we have where the plan begins to run into complications. Things went pretty well at the beginning, but it gets a little trickier, and that's a flashback into where he first started working here. Now, I like the layout, and I like the differences in the panels, the shapes, and the numbers per pages. There's an effective use of space, but at the end, instead of having a preview for another book, they take time to show all of the cover variations, and every one of them are good. So they used really good, they used their space well in the storytelling. And so I didn't mind this at all, to see all of the different, there we go. All the different variations. This is the manager, Bernice, of Burger Lord, the fast food franchise that he works for. And very nice poster versions of their covers. So various artists for the cover variations, but I thought as long as they use the rest of the book, there's no black panels, there's no wasted space. And so having that instead of a preview, I get tired of seeing the previews for other things at the end. But I like the posters. So who can resist a great heist film? Watching a crack crew planning and implementing a perfect theft by relying on teamwork and timing and attention to every conceivable detail has led to some cinematic favorites like The Sting and Heat and Heist. Equally entertaining is the heist film where the crew is less crack and more crunch. And as plans unravel, it becomes a comedy of errors. I'm thinking Disorganized Crime and Quick Change, humorous examples of crimes gone awry movies. So, a similar felonious enterprise is the start of all manner of trouble for protagonist Marty Tarantula Tarantella in True Cult #1. And no, that's not a mob nickname or anything. It's just a play on Marty's last name. And he is no wise guy. In fact, he's pretty much on the opposite end of that spectrum completely. Marty's been a loyal employee and minimum wage earner in his local Burger Lord for 15 years, which is no small feat because his branch of the fast food franchise goes through annual armies of employees. It's got a drive-through, THUR, lane. But manager Bernice never gets around to having repainted. And the twin owners who who run the place probably attended management seminars overseen by either Arlie Ermy or the Marquis de Sade, or both. So he has, Marty has some patience. And Bernice appreciates Marty. Make no mistake, because she appreciates how much disregard she can layer on him and yet still count on him as her most reliable employee. Marty started working at Burger Lord while he was in high school because he needed money for buying new tapes at the record store in the same strip mall. Also, because everyone on the placemat recruitment ad inviting customers to join the winning Burger Lord team looked happy. It looked like they could become his friends. Well, when the story opens, Marty's matured over that last 15 years, and he realizes how misguided that sentiment was. He's disappointed that no one lives up to the standards promoted by the company, the strive for excellence, except himself. And really, he could be giving himself a little too much credit in that score. But he's still got the years put in without advancement, and he has formulated a plan after quietly watching the day-to-day schedules and customer comings and goings at the strip mall. Something that will utilize his true potential at last, and also serve as what he calls a full life reset. He's going to rob every store in the strip mall except Burger Lord and one other in a spree during their overall lowest traffic time. And he'll do it on his lunch break. Then, after stowing his mask and gun and ill-gotten gains in his car trunk again, he'll be back to work and interviewing a new potential employee. It's a plan formed after he found a pistol discarded on his lot while on trash pickup one day, and Marty sees an opportunity to drastically alter his serfdom status, or at least to finally take some form of direct action in guiding his own destiny. And his plan succeeds mostly. Not every business produces large takes, but Marty ends up with a couple $1,000s, and his criminal venture has very few hinks when he puts it into motion. He even has enough extra time for a crime of convenience. There's a delivery driver who just happens to be sitting on the lot, so he robs her too. So, with no one the wiser, Marty resumes his shift, but then a logjam of circumstance begins forming around him. The new potential hire nervously sat on the lot an hour before her interview, psyching herself up, and she may have witnessed everything that Marty did. 2 cops come into the restaurant asking questions because victims said that the robber smelled like onions and pickles. And worst of all, the packet Marty took from the delivery driver apparently belongs to a very dangerous satanic cult.
Oh, nice.
A cult who wants it back. Probably with sacrificial interest. So the good. Writer Scott Brian Wilson has a talent for blending up a smoothie combining humor and pathos. Marty really doesn't seem like such a bad sort of guy. He's just low on ambition, and he's weary of seeing his unrealistic expectations constantly unmet. He's about the most polite and apologetic armed robber you could ask for. But that's also the language of customer service work. And herein lies the risks for Marty. He is not a criminal mastermind. After riding on a giddy cloud of personal accomplishment for about 5 minutes after the crime, the mess he's created for himself begins formulating. He quickly realizes it's going to require a bigger cleanup effort than a soft-serve ice cream machine before a state health inspection. However, he may have an ally in the interviewee, Allison Ladd. She arrives in a Burger Lord work uniform from her last job in a different branch location. Like Marty, she is a true believer in providing a positive customer experience for everyone who dines in her restaurant. They are optimistic, two-of-a-kind workers, each having memorized inspiring sections of the Burger Lord Employee Handbook. Well, in the opening issue, Wilson fosters the reader's empathy for Marty. We know the way forward for him isn't going to be easy, but we also want to see him prevail, to get away with his crimes and even maybe decide on a new and better future goal, and maybe one not tied to a fast food career. Or maybe just see him survive long enough to work the drive-thru another day. The narrative is twisty, and it leads into unexpected territories. By the end of issue 1, and with decent hooks pulling me toward picking up the second installment, I'm not sure where the story's going to go from here. And that's an unusual feeling. So kudos to Wilson on achieving it. Artist Liana Kangas has done covers on some of my recent favorite reads across several companies. Those sequentials are strong, and the appreciable differences in the panel layouts and the admirable use of space is strong with her. This quality is a rarity right now in modern artists, and so Kangas's work stands out because of it, I think. She also has a style of figure and facial rendering reminiscent of, it took me a while to place this, but she reminds me of Pat Boyette, one of Charlton Comics' most prolific Silver Age illustrators and co-creator of the character Peacemaker. The resemblance to his style is most noticeable when it comes to her images of Marty. Gab Contreras on the colors comes up with seemingly perfect visual schemes for each of these strip mall stores and a truly mind-numbing, I think, fast food palette for the Burger Lord franchise. Looking at the decor of that place for 15 years, it would make anybody want to rob every place they could find. Letter DC Hopkins faced a real challenge with this launch because if you looked at the pages, there's a lot of dialogue and narration that's necessary. Much of it comes from characters with a natural tendency to ramble, like Marty. Marty never says anything short term. It's always a stream of consciousness observation. This also includes enthusing about their work environment like Allison does. But Hopkins keeps the conversation attribution sharp and the exchanges flowing in a very clear, precise order. The bad. Maybe it's a way of showing Marty as that person with authentic attention deficit difficulties. Maybe it's representing his stammered stream of consciousness I mentioned, but the order of events and Marty's wandering focus regarding that order make the story feel disjointed at times, as if his hit-and-miss way of letting events blow him along like a leaf on the wind has infected the manner in which this story unfolds. Now, that may be appropriate, and it may be intentional, and it may make for satisfying moments, especially in the adrenaline-infused cool-down after his crime spree, but it also complicates the storyline in spots, and some readers may grumble at figuring a timestamp out for what is going on in relation to the heist happenings. The takeaway. A sneak peek of this issue in that IDW preview sampler offered up a few pages of the robberies, and it compelled me to pick up this issue on the strength of the characterizations and the unusual thematic tone. That free sample turned out to be the main entree for a title launch. The use of a franchise called Burger Lord and the antagonistic force of a satanic cult, it just cries for a destined future of allegorical and highly satirical hijinks. There are also comparisons to be drawn yet between a zealous cult dedicated to infernal evil and a fast food philosophy and business model dedicated to optimum dining pleasure and value. And we don't even yet know what's in the misappropriated delivery package that the cult wants to reclaim so badly. The title starts as a cinematic mashup of disorganized crime and race with the devil. And the finish line, I have no idea where it's going to be. But along that narrative speedway, it gives us a McJob perspective on culture, serving up supersized helpings of melancholy and mirth. And for that, True Cult #1 earns my Yelp rating of 7.5 out of 10.
Ooh, very cool. That sounds good. That sounds good.
Tonight.
And Carl Witzman says, Burger Lord, it's parody night on CBS tonight. And sounds funny. I like it. And Carl's not a big comic reader, so that's high praise indeed. I will say that if you want to see a great example of Pat Boyette's artwork that Clyde name dropped, pick up this book, The Original Skyman Bells, The Master of Steam, available now on Amazon. Hashtag always promote. So... But he did our cover, so God bless him. And the robbery, says Lissy, the robbery scene sounds interesting based on the way you describe the character's perception. Yeah.
It's a really, I mean, it seems like a small story, but I really don't know where they're going to go from here, except I do think there's going to be some satirical connection between how almost zealous and, they're like acolytes for their burger the burger franchise and the zealousness of these cult leaders. I think it's going to be a satirical blending or contrasting of those two. So again, I'm in for this one for the full run, I think, unless they drop the ball somewhere.
But it doesn't sound likely. That sounds great. Thank you very much, Clyde. As always. And we've got about 15 minutes. Did anyone have anything worthy of discussion? I mean, I've been following the debacle that is the aftermath of what would have been Batgirl.
Yeah.
Talk about the never-ending saga. For those of you who haven't followed the thing, the two directors of Batgirl attempted to access the server with the digital files for the movie, and they were blocked.
They were blocked. The files were gone, right? They're deleted.
I've heard mostly the files are deleted, but the thing is, I also read like 2 days ago that some other members of the production crew had gotten a hold of them and were having Batgirl parties.
I read today that they were inviting some of the cast and crew to come see it on the Warner lot to have a private screening.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and here's another thing, kids. If you're thinking that maybe they'll bring it out on like on DVD or on streaming services, no, they are not. The way the tax laws work, if Warner Brothers takes that tax cut for the $10 million on this thing, they cannot show it until it goes into the public domain, which will be 80 years from now. And that's the law. There ain't nothing else you can do about it.
Somebody's going to bootleg that thing.
And the thing is, the problem is, I was waiting for somebody to bring that up. Thank you that you did, Joe. The thing is, Hollywood has had so many leaks over the years. If somebody does it, that's their job. They will know who did it. And if somebody's feeling brave, they'll have to ask themselves, is it worth being blacklisted from Hollywood? Which is the very likely effect. Or they could even probably find a way to take him to court. So, let's see. Here we go. Carl Witzman says, supposedly, there was a plot to steal the money and release it somehow. Steal the movie, that is. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. But yeah, I could see, I wouldn't doubt that some hacker is going to try to get in there and get it, which if it is missing, that might be why. It just dawned on me. Maybe the best way to not have that thing hacked is to basically remove it as far as being a target. So
I kept, as it developed this week, I kept thinking that this could be the basis for Public Domain 2. The sequel.
Yeah.
So
I still feel old technology is going to win out anyway. Somebody's going to bootleg it. It's not going to be somebody within the company that does it, but it's probably going to be somebody that was invited to one of these parties.
It might be somebody that's taping it on their phone or something.
And the longer it goes, the more likely that will probably become. Because like the Fantastic Four deal, I don't think that came.
Yeah.
That didn't just pop out overnight. That was several years later, I think, that we finally got to actually see that and hurt our eyes. And
our brains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing, you're right, and it was a low-res version of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until about, I'd say about 6 or 7 years ago that I finally found that somebody had uploaded to YouTube a let's call it at least a 480 version of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But
whereas
that
the
was
other one was
also
on the
never
verge of
meant to come out
pixelation.
anyway.
No, it was not. It was
Yeah.
not meant to come out. It was if
Right.
I remember correctly, it was an attempt to give the studio the continued rights, the option on
Right.
the Fantastic Four, and so they hired Roger Corman, who is the king of quick and dirty movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, he's also a genius too,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably why that movie was as watchable as it is.
Right.
You
And
know?
unfortunately, they didn't share that information with the stars.
Right.
That it was
No,
not
they
going to be released, and that was unfair to them. But
Yeah. Which is a shame because the casting was decent.
Like I said, I have lived through how much before we got the first Wonder Woman movie. I mean, even the Adrian Paquin
Oh,
Wonder
yeah.
Woman pilot
Right. Yeah.
was leaked, even
Mm-hmm.
though it never reached air, it was still leaked.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bad thing for studios, that everything is digital now. It can be stolen. Bootlegs are typically
Much
high
easier.
quality digital. I mean, I watched Maverick the other night.
Yeah.
It might have had Chinese subtitles, but it was 4K quality. And that movie is so good.
Yes, it is. But yeah, and it's not to say that it will never get out. As long as somebody's got a copy of it somewhere, it will get out in one form or another. But we're not going
Unless
to
it's
see
destroyed.
That's
They could do that, I guess.
Yeah, because you figure that unless Warner Brother Discovery finds a way to rewrite the copyright laws again, like with the Sonny Bono Copyright Extension Act, if they can't make any money out, now we're getting into like the Snidely Whiplash sort of thing. If I can't make any money off it, no one can. Twirling their mustache all the while, tying Nell to the tracks. So,
Doing the same thing that they do if somebody happens to die on set in an accident or something, is like, well, we took the footage and we just destroyed it. That would be about their best option for not ever having it leak out. But that's not a scene. This is an entire film. So I don't know.
That's the thing. The difference between actually having film versus digital.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the American Film Institute has done so much to preserve old films. I mean, they've got that top 100, and probably about 1 or 2 dozen of the titles on there are no existing copies of them. They just know that it was released. They've got the information on it, but then occasionally some of these pop up.
Right.
Because like what was it, about 15 years ago, they knew there was like a 1910 Edison Frankenstein film.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, that's on YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
I had a question, since
yes.
I've got all these creatives here. I listened to a podcast where the topic was brought up of people coming in to write comics who are not comic book writers, but they're celebrities, or they have other kind of professionals in the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm.
One of the comics I picked this week was the Patton Oswalt co-written book, and Berserker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is one that makes Eric wince every time. It gives him a Colin
Bad
Benn
example, Clyde.
Yeah.
Well,
Right,
no,
yeah.
not, because he said his take was that although he gives every one of them a chance, he feels like it's unfair because you've got professionals who maybe start with independents and go into the smaller companies, and they work their way up to have a shot to produce something with a bigger company like the Big Two or Image or even some of the ones that we've talked about like IDW. And here comes somebody who wants to get in, wants to kind of have a hook into, if this becomes a series or a movie or a film or an animated, And so they get their name attached to it, and they are given the VIP. Come on ahead. You can go around all these people who have worked to get here. We'll just put you at the head of the line.
Right.
And he resents that. I don't blame him. And again, he wasn't running it down that none of it is any good. He's like, I give every one of them a chance, but that in the back of my mind, that's already a negative point. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, okay, you look at the Berserker.
Must
I'm
we?
not even sure if Keanu Reeves even wrote any of it, to be honest with you. I mean, the lack of words, probably he did.
Whoa.
But, I mean, if you take, take Joe Hill. Joe Hill's an accomplished author and proven himself that he could write a comic book. They let him write comic books. They're good. But, I mean, when you take just some celebrity and throw them in there just because they're a celebrity, it just seems like a cash grab. And I don't know what Wesley Snipes' Kickstarter did. I know it did good.
I think it made it.
I'd
be surprised if it didn't.
Oh, it funded. But
I'm sure, yeah.
I don't know his involvement in it other than his name. I don't know if he wrote any of it or not.
Well, then again, there's an upcoming Sergeant Rock versus Zombies title from DC Comics that is supposedly being fully written by Bruce Campbell. Now, Campbell also can write.
Yes,
I've got
several books.
He's written several novels. Yeah,
he is he's a legend in geekdom. So
yeah. But he can do the work.
Which I'm getting that DC book.
I'm
yeah,
definitely tempted on that. Well, it's one of those things where I can see it, but also from the publisher's point of view, the name Keanu Reeves is going to sell more copies than Matt Kent, who's actually doing the writing on it. And the publisher's job is to make money. And I will admit that I've read a number of books like Comet Man from Bill Mooney from Lost in Space. It wasn't very good. I didn't think it was very good. Its heart is in the right place. But I've read some things from like Walter Koenig and other TV/movie celebrities, and they've been okay. Just like back in the 90s and early aughts, there were a bunch of novels by half the Star Trek cast or half of any sort of show where they may come up with the idea, but somebody else does all the heavy lifting on the actual writing. I don't think it's unfair.
Don't you throw shade at Tech Wars?
Oh, being the Greg Evigan fan I am, I wouldn't do that. But no, it's like the job, or even what is it? That one Techno Comics that had Gene Roddenberry, Leonard Nimoy, Isaac Asimov. Larry Niven was attached to the Ultraverse from Scott Rosenberg. I understand it from the publisher point of view. Their job is to sell comics. And if they can get a big name attached to at least get you curious to buy it, then that works. Now, this reviewer sounds like they're somehow taking money from him or denying him an opportunity. I think that is zero-sum thinking. And there is nothing that stops that person from putting out their own comic.
Especially with Kickstarter and things like that going. I mean, you could do the same sort of thing, maybe. Well, you mentioned a Kickstarter with a celebrity. That venue is open.
It's wide open
if you,
for that.
so you could do that. I had mixed feelings about it because I have read some that I was like, eye roll. Oh my gosh, this is bad. But others that I really like this week's that I really, really liked. Whether Al Oswalt had a whole lot to do with it or it was the other writer, I don't really care. The product was good.
Oswald's written a few things, hasn't he? Now?
Oh,
he's written several comics. Yeah, he's quite good at it actually, and he's the exception really to the rule.
Right, and this has a lot of good dialogue. I feel like he actually was there. He wasn't on a phone in or that sounds good. Write my name on it. I think he really, I think he was part of it, but I could be wrong. But it sounds like. It sounds like some of the words coming out of their mouths, I could hear his voice. In a good way. So,
but I'm hearing this argument, and it reminded me like back in the old comic book shop I used to work in, I managed. And there was somebody in there, or rather, I should say, anytime they talk about, well, why'd they give this writer this new book?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they giving these opportunities to new writers, etc.?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the way this works.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Hollywood. Unless you come in and you're incredibly talented and you can wow them at the audition or whatever, or you send in brilliant samples to the comic companies, they're always going to go with somebody that they can trust, one, to do the work, and somebody who can do the work well and has a following. I can tell you right now that I have gotten a lot of work simply because of stuff like what we're doing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They look at my YouTube, and they'll go, "Oh, he's got over 800 people on it. Well, let's give him a try." Or the fact that I've got a track record of being in different anthologies and publishing my own work. That people in a position, the powers that be, look at that stuff now. But the thing is, by the same token, anyone can do the same thing that that a Matt Fraction does. Anyone can do the same thing as a Matt Kind or Al Ewing, who built up their reputations and are now reaping the fruits of it. It's like the guy that the hip hop artist, I'm blanking on the name, but the guy that has that multi-million-dollar Kickstarter going right now. Same with Brandon Sanderson, who made 8 figures on his Kickstarter. He's got a track record. He's got a fandom, and that's what he taps into, and that's and that's the ultimate reward. You just can't go in cold and expect to reap the rewards of somebody who's put the work in for years. So.
And I don't think he was talking about somebody, just being handed on a silver platter the opportunity that Patton Oswalt just took away. Mm-hmm. I think he knows a lot of people in the industry. He has produced some comic book scripts. Mm-hmm. He's had some success, but this has been an ongoing. The people that he knows, they didn't start like they did what you said. They built up their career and their portfolio, and they are right at the point of they've gone from the back of the queue up to the front of it, mm-hmm. and that not all of them are going to get a chance to go forward to the big leap, but they're kind of positioned, and then these other people come in and kind of in the last year, 2 years, and just kind of get the VIP here. The velvet rope doesn't apply to you, and it irks him a little bit. I don't know. I can see that, mm-hmm. but they've also put in work in a different venue. I mean, none of them are overnight successes either.
All right.
So
yeah, they're trying to build their audience and their reputation, and they're getting there. Then here comes a celebrity. Hey, I want to write a comic book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I see this gentleman down here is holding his tongue. He has
that pre-rant look. I've seen that.
Yeah, it's like he's just one step away from bursting into that Cheshire-like smile. And are you ready to rant, Joe?
Well, the question that I have here is, how do you want me to approach it? You want me to approach it from the publisher's point of view, or you want me to approach it from the writer's point of view?
Okay.
Bring it from the writers.
Okay.
From the writer's
4 hours later.
On the writer's point of view.
Yes.
I have to say this about whoever show you watch. They have no clue what they're talking about unless that writer's goal is to write for somebody else.
Yeah.
Because there's no way in the world that a celebrity is going to take a spot as a comic book writer for another comic book writer. If that writer is working on other projects, it's going to be like, well, do I split my time between 2 or 3 or work on what is making me famous right now?
Yeah.
They wouldn't truly care one way or the other who is writing this next major book that makes him multiple millions of dollars. Why? Because that means that now you're writing for a company who is actually, marketing. You have all this marketing dollars. You put it out there. If it bombs, they're looking at you. your career is just about ruined at that point.
Good point. That's a good point.
And this is one of the reasons why I cringe. I cringe wholeheartedly with a lot of these so-called fan channels and geekdom channels and everything, because they don't understand the business. They don't look at the bigger picture. They just see big old number and it's like, oh, why can't this writer over here get it? Again, you have to look at the bigger picture. If that writer wrote for that company and that project bombs, guess what? It hurts that writer.
Yeah.
You taking a gamble regardless. Just like, with having like a Keanu Reeves and everything. That company, marketing-wise, is banking on that star's name. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, meh, they're going to get their money because why? That celebrity's name is attached to it. That celebrity, not just the comic book people, but the fans of that celebrity is going to come out to support.
Yeah.
Nobody's looking for the next greatest comic book coming from a celebrity per se. I mean, if Kim Kardashian came out with a comic book today, you're going to have all the Kim Kardashian fans jumping at the bit at it. But at the same time, I bet you it would never be one of the greatest stories ever told in comic book. Why? Because of the simple fact that that publisher is banking more on that name than the overall product itself.
Right.
So why you as a writer would get upset at that? You wouldn't. What you would get upset at is, let's just say you made a great IP, you worked your butt off. You go to a publisher, they picked up that IP. Then they go get the celebrity, they attach the celebrity onto it. Now you're thinking about to go and make the big bucks, and then they change your IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have to look at that contract. It's like, where did you mess up at? Do you have rights to make those changes back to the way it's supposed to be? What happens if you sever your commitment to that project and all that? That's a completely different story. That's the one that a true writer would worry about. They wouldn't worry about the project that they didn't get their chance to write as a whole. But again, like I said, I'm not trying to rant.
Right.
I mean,
well, that's a good point. That's excellent.
It is a good point. And we've got a couple comments here.
Hopefully not my comment.
We'll get to you later.
That's why I put it in the private chat. I almost said it out loud.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Let's see. I can still copy and paste, but anyway. Let's see. And Carl Wisman said about the Batgirl thing. The movie will be sold overseas, and then it'll come back as a bootleg from China or somewhere. My understanding is they can't sell it there either.
No,
it has to stay in the vault.
It cannot be sold worldwide, but again, with the
They
way actors are, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody over there in China or Russia or some of these other countries already got it.
Oh, they probably hacked it. And we have the same thing in book writing, Clyde. Every time a political person or celeb writes a book, the big publishers drop their pants and wallets. And don't get me started on Shatner's writing, which I understand. Tech Wars consisted of Shatner going, hey, why don't you write a book and put my name on it? And that was it. And don't you mean, no, we don't. Anyway, or actually, no. We don't you mean Shatner's writing? And who said that? I don't know. And I'm happy that I don't get to rant. Boy, thank God you don't. I'm telling you, you go off on a tear every Saturday night at 10 o'clock on the from a desk of a small press publisher. Hashtag always promote your friends. And you can rant later. Well, unless some idiot lets him do it now. And yeah, sit there and smile, we know. And the smirkage is duly noted. And Pops Van Sant, glad to see you here. It will never be in my collection either. I mean, I'm high most of the time, and I still wouldn't buy it. That's pretty damning right there. When not even Pops will buy it. He won't even roll it up to make a doobie out of it or something. So,
Wow.
Nothing but love, Pops. We love you. And and check out. Would this be the weekend for CromCon, my friend?
Yes, it is.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. See, you thought I forgot, Pops. Pops, check out Pops Van Zandt, Comics Talk, and all of his other Comic Madness channels on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's an all-weekend online convention. And Ted Davies wakes up and says, "Rant, what?" And love you too, Brian. I love you, Pops. You know you do. And I love you too.
Oh, crap. Hellboy's overrated.
Yes. That went out to little Ted Davies out there in Michigan. Thank you. On the Casey Kasem hotline.
That message was brought to you by Davies and Brian Rogers. Eric Hawkins says, yes, it sucks. More after this, once we play this song, hey, that comic book is not worth reading. Read something of value.
With Brian Morris as Jay Sherman.
Such as
Skyman battles the Man of Steam.
the Master of Steam.
The Master of Steam, brought to you by...
Yeah, it's brought to you by the Zombie from World of Oz.
Dry cleaner.
Penrite Groceries, where your value cards are always welcome. Or actually, it's like an old skit I wrote for the Metropolis thing. The Dark Side Grocery. To starve for Dark Side is to feast, and Wednesdays are double coupon days.
No.
So,
but
yes.
I do have to apologize though, because like I say, I don't like going hard in the paint about stuff like that, because people of where I'm at understand where I'm coming from, but not everybody. Not everybody. They would get to the point where they feel like I'm being arrogant or I'm talking above their heads. I'm like, no, I'm not. That's just the way things
No, you aren't.
Yeah,
you aren't. I get that a lot too. It's just that we know, and this is going to sound arrogant, but we happen to know more about the industry. Shut up, Eric. But we do.
There goes that ego again.
Well, it's not ego when you can do it. Anyway, but no, it's
and just like in the Grinch, his britches got 5 ties smaller.
that's right. My God, we're we're breaking out a wall to put my ego in here.
Get up the water.
No.
I'm sorry about that.
No, quiet. No, but no. It's just that the four of us, and this is not hyperbole, the four of us have talked to professionals in the industry. We all are involved in creative endeavors that are related to the comic industry. I mean, I've talked to publishers, editors, writers, a number of whom I call personal friends. And they tell me this stuff.
They call Brian, who?
They know me. They go, oh God, it's him again. But they know me. So there we go, because I get out of the house. Anyway, and Ted David goes, BKM, hashtag humble. Well, you know, if you had my kind of humility, you'd be proud of it too, Ted. But anyway, I got so much ego I could take even rips myself. But anyway, but no. And I'm not saying that like we got special connections, but we are all involved in the creative industry, and we hang out with other people who are in the comics field, and we all have, I'm sure, heard the horror stories. And you know, there's a lot of this is just what you hear here. This is just what I can tell you, because I have some stuff I got to take to the grave. You know, and you know that's why things like public domain don't surprise me much. You know, it's you know, but no, it's one of those things that the comic publishers want your money, and they will tie a celebrity or a noted personality to get it, and that's just the way of the world. You know, it's not right, it's not wrong, it just is. So anyway, Ted Davies is puking
Mocking us with
And-
his laughter.
Yeah, puking through his laughter. And much love, kids. Great show. Thank you, Ted. Glad you were here, man. And Hellboy does suck. Anyway, so no, I do like Hellboy. I really do.
Actually, I only said Hellboy because I couldn't remember Mike Mignola's name. But I was going to say Mike Mignola sucked.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Oh,
I liked his work. It was
Consider
kind
the
of
fact that he
weird for
talked
me in the
about him
beginning.
earlier today for Black and White Comics.
yeah, I remember Mike Mignola before he was good. So there, that's how long I've been in the industry. So and well, here we go, and we have superstar Rick Bradley. Good evening, everyone. Yes, even you, Eric. It's nice to know I've got one fan out there. And yow, poor Ted. We are just firing back. Anyway, but no, we love you guys. But no, that's pretty much the way it is. But you know, you do raise a good point, Joe, that a lot of people doing these podcasts don't know diddly squat about the inner workings of the comics industry, and they don't do the research. I keep saying that's one of the reasons this show exists, because I wanted to get people that knew their stuff, and I think I did a great job. Okay, yay me! I will take credit for this, but
and some of those people that do know the inner working of the industry,
Yeah.
still don't know what they're talking about when they watch or host a show.
let me think. Who could that be now?
Five me.
Yeah, let me think. Yeah, maybe if somebody shine a light for me, maybe in brightest day and blackest night. Never mind.
I remember one of them. I can't remember which one. It said, he had a late book coming out, and then he was bragging, "Hey, we finally got it off to the guy who's going to format to a PDF for us." You had to send that somewhere? What the fuck's wrong with you?
Well, I did see that somebody who's a friend of yours, Eric, I got a notice about a week ago that he's finally putting that Kickstarter book of his out.
Which one?
Mike Miller?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the NFTs have died off.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I do know that, and Mike hates me, by the way, everybody. He has since his first time meeting me, he hates me.
What better badge of honor?
But it was being colored. I knew that colorist died, and he was trying to find another colorist. Then NFTs hit big for him. He just kind of stopped all comics and started working on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the NFTs are dying off, so he's been interviewing colorists, and he's found a couple he likes in them. So.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I guess that's going on about 2 years late, isn't it?
I think at least 2 years.
Yeah, which one is that?
That's that crossover with Mike Barron's characters and his?
And Doug to Naples, yeah.
And Doug to Naples, right, yeah. I got a notice last week that it finally is getting shipped to the printers.
Yeah, I don't think that's his only book that hasn't shipped yet.
Oh, I'm sure. And Ted Davies going, Hawkins who? And Carl Weston goes, I knew I should have switched over to Stupid O'Clock, but aren't you glad you didn't? Where else can you get this kind of raw entertainment and information that you can use, as long as you like comics?
Ted did mention one of Mike Mignola's works this morning that's one of my favorites, and that's Gotham by Gaslight.
Oh, yeah.
I think that might have been my first introduction to him. It was either that or the Wolverine and the Savage Land trade paper or graphic novel. It's one of those two.
Yeah. I've been following Mignola for quite some time. He'd been working for DC and Marvel, and like things Phantom Stranger, Solomon Kane, just the Hulk, just anything he could get his hands on. Usually he got fairly unsympathetic inkers, unfortunately. But Gotham by Gaslight was the first one where I'm going, whoa, this guy's got chops. And that was such a great story by Brian Augustine, too. That is a classic, and it deserves to be. Folks, if you have not read Gotham by Gaslight, if you're into steampunk, if you're into alternate world stuff, you need to check it out. It's brilliant.
Did the cartoon ever come out?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Was it any good? Yeah, it's okay.
They tried, you know. I mean, I like
Fine, I
the
read
comic
it on
better, but
your
it was
face.
pretty good. It was pretty good. And really, the strength of that Elseworlds is a foundation for what they built Elseworlds into. Speaking of that, I was going to mention this, guys. Over on HBO Plus, they have House of Mystery. Have you guys seen this?
No. Is it related to the DC book?
Yes.
Oh, really?
It is an anthology series.
How long will it be out there?
Well,
Let's see, it's
yeah.
9:17 now.
I have kind of lost track of some of the animation stuff that DC was doing, but this is like a 3-part anthology of stories, and the first one is all about John Constantine.
Oh.
And the second one is
Now, hold on, Clyde. When did you start calling him Constantine?
That's the British pronunciation.
All through it, they call him Constantine. So I've just watched this recently, and so I'm in the Constantine.
If you stay awake during Sandman, you'd know this stuff, Eric.
Oh,
Yeah,
I knew
yeah.
they were saying Constantine, but I never saw John Constantine in the show, so I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that was a decent kind of. It has the Spectre in it. It's very good.
Ooh, Brian
And
likes
then the
Spectre.
second one is Commandy, Last Boy on Earth.
Oh,
And the animation, they have tried to make it look like Kirby.
Wow.
And very good. Now, the last one, the
Wow.
last segment is what if the Spider-Man cartoon from the 60s had a big budget and it was about Blue Beetle instead of Spider-Man, including a cool theme song. So my rank of things that you should look at this week before they go away. I mean, before you have a chance,
Before they get the tax write-off.
go there, or just look up House of Mystery with as a anthology animated movie, and enjoy. And I really liked it, and I hadn't heard a thing about it until I saw a friend that was talking it up, and I'm like, I have missed out on this completely. But
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I definitely will look for that. Rick Bradley says, seriously though, how can someone hate the Eric Hawkins?
My
Exactly.
hates me.
It's possible.
There's a few people. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
It's not my fault at all. But
Of course not.
they just don't have good taste.
That's right. And you really, you should be judged by the level of your enemies. So it means you've done something right. And speaking of Neil Gaiman, he liked one of my tweets I sent him.
Yeah, excellent.
Well done, Rick. That's very awesome.
Some of my favorite moments on Twitter was, this is my favorite moment on Twitter. The other ones are on Facebook. On Facebook, Todd McFarlane liked one of my drawings.
Oh.
But on Twitter, Sergeant Slaughter started following me, and that was like, that was just so cool. Like, what?
I hear you. I went to my computer one day, and I found Juliet Landau was following me.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I definitely fanboyed. And then I also started getting followed by, and this is going to mean nothing except to Doctor Who fans, Eric Sayward. He was the script editor on the last 2 seasons of the original Doctor Who with Sylvester McCoy. And he had something that was called the Sayward Master Plan that was supposed to tell you where the Doctor came from and then bring in more mystery. And they are using elements of it even now, especially with Jodie Whittaker, that the Doctor is more than what he seems. In this one, he was supposed to be like Times champion, and it was rumored that he was also, we know about the Time engineers Omega and Rassilon, but there was one called the Other, and that might have been the Doctor. So anyway, yeah, but he followed me, and I sent him a note saying thank you, and then he and I had a week's worth of discussion about his time on the show, and it was quite interesting to get into his head. And then recently, S.A. Jones, I mentioned S.A. Jones with Rob Davis. He started following me on Facebook, and I told Cookie I fanboyed. I totally freaking fanboyed, because this is a guy back in the 80s. He used to write reviews for like the comics journal, like Amazing Heroes and some of the fan magazines of the day. And then he became an editor with a very small publisher out of Texas. And then he showed that he could apply what he criticized other writers and artists for not doing, or what they were doing. He could do it himself and do it correctly.
Ooh.
And he did do some stuff for Marvel and DC and other bigger companies. Now he's moved into novels, and I just finished one that was a mashup of Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan.
Interesting.
It was really quite good. It was really quite good, and I fanboyed. I totally fanboyed. And Lissy says, people just get jealous of us Hawkins. I imagine they are. And Rick Bradley still gets followed by Russian porn bots, so yeah, I think it's getting pretty serious. Well, see, that means you have arrived, young man. You are now a superstar.
My
Just as you
favorite thing
deserve.
is to accept the friend request, and then when they message you, hi, how you doing, just reply back. Just be stupid with them for a little while.
Oh, I like the ones that make the mirror accounts. And it's like, I had one with a former coworker from the water company, and they'd be like, well, hi, Brian, how are you? Which is, they don't care how I am. That's just the way our relationship went. And I'd be like, well, hi, how are you? It's been a long time. And I know it's a mirror account. And then, they said, well, have you heard about this charity you can sign up for? Or what do you know about crypto? And I'll be like, well, is this as viable as those naked pictures you used to send me? Do you still have any of them around? And then I start pushing to see how far they'll go. And I usually have them blocking me before 3 days goes by.
I have all the issues. I have all the issues of his Superboy run.
Oh.
And the Legion of Super Pets too. I think we're talking about a different crypto. No.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unless it says not that we're hard to get along with or anything like that. That's why they don't like Dad.
All of them actually did like me, except for Mike, and it's because Mike was a sore loser. And everybody that came from the fan show, it rarely ever won the pro show, and and they weren't expecting someone to come over there and whip their asses.
He doesn't dislike you. He dislikes public humiliation. I get it. Yeah.
So I didn't go back for 9 months.
Well, he did show up here one time. He was in our audience, remember?
Yeah.
He was probably making sure that you weren't trying to make him look bad again, which is what you just done. But anyway, Rick Bradley says, I can see part of Eric's screen reflected in the picture behind him. Be careful what you watch while on the show, Eric.
Well, see, you can only see my upper screen, not my lower screen. So this is what you see up here is this screen. And all my porn's down here on the screen. Photoshop is open down here. Yeah,
and what do you think we all do while the reviews are running? But anyway, I'm supposed to go.
Speaking of Photoshop, so I use Photoshop most of the time, but I also do use Clip Studio. And Joe, you use Clip Studio too, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So you got the news this week, right?
Yeah, about the change of subscription.
What's the
They're
news?
going to start charging. Well, you could still use the version 1 free. Well, it's not free because you initially had to pay for it. But there's no subscription.
I paid for a license. No, it's a license that you pay for.
Yeah.
So they're not changing that license.
No. But that will continue to run. But after this year, they're not going to update it anymore. So as long as your operating system still will run it, it will still be able to use it. But they want you to go to version 2, which will be their new software, pay for that, and pay a monthly subscription fee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's buy it and pay a subscription fee.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of people, independent creators, are pretty upset because they use that, religiously.
It's not that. It's just, to me, it's just them being cheap. I mean, my only complaint with that is I'd rather pay one flat fee, give me an option to play one flat fee for all updates and everything to that magnitude. Yeah. So it's like my understanding is like Clip Studio Paint is one of the more low cost software to get.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And reason being is like when I got this one, I think I paid like $130 compared to Photoshop, which is in the hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Their mindset now is that you're going to end up paying for the overall software, which is going to drop the price to maybe like $50 to $60.
Right.
But to get all the updates and everything, you're going to have to be on a subscription plan, and you know how software gets updated on a regular basis.
Right.
And that can get costly. But the thing about it is, like, when you really look at the life cycle of a piece of software, instead of paying $130 to $200 each and every year, you kind of pretty much paying out about the same amount, especially when you think about it's like $50 $50 to $70 up front, plus maybe like a $5.99 or $9.99 per month basis. It's going to even out regardless. But I just think a lot of people just want to be cheap.
Mm-hmm. No, that's what I love. Is that a lot of them hate Adobe because they do charge a subscription fee. Right. Which, I mean, you my Photoshop, I didn't have to pay up front for it. It's a subscription service. So it wasn't, it used to be years ago, it was $1,000, $2,000 to get Photoshop.
Right.
I used to run a bootleg Eastern European version.
Unless you knew where to get an OEM copy.
Yes.
Get an OEM copy for like half the cost of what it costs for getting it.
So $10 a month, I have Photoshop and I have Lightroom because I do photography too. So, I mean, it's very helpful. Mm-hmm. So it's $10 a month. I don't mind. Clip Studio, I mean, I basically just use it for lettering, but I like it. I like it a lot better than anything else I've used for lettering. So I just like, the bubbles are there. You squiggle your tails and all that. But, they've been around for 10 years, offering, you buy it and you get all the updates you want. I mean, they want to make some money too, I bet.
Considering the fact that I've been using it ever since back in the day when it was called Manga Studio.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've got Manga Studio 5, and then they changed over to clip art and stopped supporting manga. So
no, it's one and the same. It's all one and the same. They when they changed the name, they added extra bells and whistles.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just never followed it once they did that.
More stuff. It became more like Photoshop when they changed that name as opposed to the original.
The thing is also there are also other programs that emulate these programs. Cookie's got one. I think she paid like $50 or so, but it does just about 99% of everything Photoshop does, and it's one of those that the users rewrite the code and improve it. And
GIMP? Is it GIMP?
No, it's not GIMP. I can never remember the name of it. I will get that name from you when she's awake. But no, there's another one. Like I use Microsoft Word. Now I buy like the whole Microsoft suite, and that's a subscription thing. But it's worth it to me because it's reasonable. It's like $10 a month or something like that. Something
the 360 suite, yeah.
The 360, thank you. But if I wanted to, I could go with OpenOffice, which is totally free and constantly updating. It just does not have. It's not as robust as Word is.
Yeah, and the spreadsheet's not as good either.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I love spreadsheets for some reason.
But
I used to spreadsheets.
The bad thing about 365, because I have to go up to the extra package because for the base one, it does not include access.
Oh right.
So I don't have a problem creating my own databases for like things like what I got comic book collection wise or certain inventory and stuff like that. And keep it in a nice little tidy database, which I need to get back to doing. Because I have no clue what I have in my comic book collection now because I haven't been keeping up with what's been bought.
Same here.
Oh, Krita's one of those free ones, I think.
Yeah, Krita, yeah. Mm-hmm. I've used it too. It's not too bad. And there's also one, it's paint.net. Now, Microsoft has gone back to, I think, the old Paint program instead of that Paint 3D, which I thought was terrible. But there is something called paint.net. It's $5. You own it forever. And you get constant free upgrades. And it's kind of like for people like me that don't have the patience to learn Photoshop. And I can work it fairly well. In fact, I was doing a lot, like the old clever title pending stuff. those thumbnails were using, that, and I'm a low end user on it for sure. But I was able to do some effects with them and make it look halfway professional. And it's like $5. You own it forever. And like every other time I log in, it's like, well, would you like the new free update? So it's a little more robust than Paint, but not quite as robust as, say, Krita or Photoshop. So
That's what I use for our thumbnails every
thumbnails.
time. Yeah.
What, for Paint.net?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that looks beautiful too.
Yep.
Of course, I think
Yeah,
it's
it-
also the person using it.
There's-
No, it just has a lot better quality in enlargement and resizing than the other free ones that I had tried.
That's
so.
true. Yeah.
I mean, there's another program that I missed, but I don't think they're around it by the same company name anymore. Because I think Corel brought them out, which is Paint Shop Pro.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're right.
Corel bought them out, and it's kind of like, I forgot what they called it now, but back in the day when it was JASC, it was like the program to get if you could not afford Photoshop.
Right. Now Rick Bradley has more to say. Buy and pay a subscription. That's why I don't play World of Warcraft. Not going to continue paying for a game I bought. Agreed.
Yep.
And the sugar-free peach tea Snapple that Rick Bradley drinks now has random facts on their lids. This one says octopuses think with their tentacles, and so does Rick. Cookies accused me of the very same thing, thinking with my tentacle. But
Now, to answer the question that Eric posed to me at the very beginning,
yes,
it's simply going to be this here. First episode needs some work, a lot of work.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. The only problem I had was, well, I said in our chat, is her obsession with Captain America's ass and his sex life.
It's not that. That whole episode seemed fast forwarded.
Yeah, it was.
They did not really do any true development of Jennifer Walters. It's just like, here I am. This is what happened. Big old fight, and then here comes what we believe is titanium busted through the wall like Kool-Aid Man talking about. Oh yeah, they get into a small little fight, and we don't know where anything's going to go.
This week's episode was even shorter.
Yeah, and now this is kind of a telling thing. I kept thinking the first episode when they did the court sketches, the music comes up. I thought that was like kind of a late introduction, and then we would have more show. That's the end credits. Okay, and I was disappointed because I was wanting it to go on, especially the fight part. I thought, well, it just got exciting, and the same thing this week. I was like, they made some interesting legal. The law is an ass. Is going to be kind of, I think, their go-to. Some of the things that they're going to be looking at for the legalese of superhumans. I mean, if they look back at those columns, and I can't think who writes that.
Bob Ingersoll.
Bob Ingersoll.
He's a buddy of mine.
Yeah, they could mine that for, and there's a deal in this where you go, oh yes, that's correct. Justice and the law are two different things.
Yeah.
And it was a very satisfying bit, but every time that they ended, I want more. So I guess that's a good sign that I enjoy it. But I do understand your comments, Eric. I fully expected to see people talk about after the first episode, and I fully expected to see the female. I would call it a fringe audience of female fans, because I don't think they all feel that way. But that we're talking that fall into the category of, well, how can A be okay, but B not be okay? So I fully expected that, so it didn't really bother me one or the other. But I want more of it. So I guess that's a good sign that, and she's been shown to be wrong. She's very, just what you would have to be as a law student and a lawyer. She's very convinced of her own infallibility, and yet she's being shown that, yeah, as far as the superhero game, there are other things to consider, which is what her cousin tried to tell her. And, so I don't know. I mean, I'm being entertained, so
Again, what as a person who understands the continuity of this character,
Mhm.
everything that's being shown right now is really being written for a television audience. So I
Right.
take that step back.
right.
So I can't say with the canon from the books that it should be this way, this way, this way. But what they're showing us, it's like you're speeding up through the things that would make this character likable, lovable, and people will want more of it. You're They're causing almost like a rift to bring it back, to reel it back in, and then you kind of like, well, what other mess can happen? Now I want to see where this really is going to go. And I'm still up here trying to figure out. It's like, well, which Titania is that? Because that's definitely not Mary McPherson. The way that she looked, that's not Mary McPherson. So I'm up here. It's like, why would they use Devita Devoto? That has nothing to do with She-Hulk lore in that aspect. But she was Titania first. She was, and because the Power Broker was mentioned in the MCU, it would make sense that she would be there, with the super strength and everything. So I was like, okay, this would be interesting if they went with Davida over Mary. But like I said, I haven't seen the second episode. But that first episode, I'm up here like,
She's brought up in the second episode, but she's not in the second episode. I don't recall. She's a super-powered influencer who was in traffic. In traffic,
We
she was
just
in
lost
traffic,
Joe.
and she got upset.
Low blood sugar.
it's ready,
Nice knowing you, Joe.
it's ready for television. It's ready for television.
Now, Joe, why did you think?
It's just
a
a
lot
dream.
of people are upset because she didn't become She-Hulk the same way she did in the comics.
That part didn't bother me.
Okay.
But what bothered me is the mentality. And that was the thing, the reason I felt like everything was fast forwarded. Because when she turned in the comic books, Bruce was not there at all.
Right.
She learned how to be She-Hulk by herself. So that whole preachiness that Bruce had and that whole conversation between cousins, at first I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then when he kept droning on about it, it's like, no, what about my whole binder? It's like the alter ego. It's like she has an alter ego. You just can't recognize it because of the simple fact that her life and your life were completely different. You cannot do apples and oranges. And they was like skirting that line with apples and oranges. I was like, stop doing this. You're taking the whole aspect of it. Then I have to take that step back and say it's ready for a television audience. I guess they're not going to get into that history dealing with her and her family when she first turned and how she had to deal with her dad trying to track her down.
Rory, and yeah.
Well, they could leave Zapper and all that. They could leave all that out, but she had to come to terms with being a Hulk by herself, and that was the thing.
Yes,
that
and an uneasy relationship with her dad. Yeah, who was trying to hunt her down. Yeah, from the old David Anthony Kraft.
In
Right.
the show, she's basically trained in what feels like 24 hours.
Yeah,
It's a quick 24 hours.
Yeah.
I mean,
You only know that because she got woke up.
right. I mean, it's just like everything just got fast forwarded. It's like you're a Hulk now, and then the whole thing about Bruce kept pushing. You gotta be a superhero. You gotta be a superhero. There's no other way about it. You're a Hulk now. You gotta be a superhero. It's like that's her choice. Why you? I was done.
it's a mansplaining thing.
Yeah, I was done at that point, and then when they got to that fight, I was like, "Yay, fun time! Yes, I enjoyed that." And then people got upset. It's like, "Oh, he shouldn't have got hurt by the Jeep." It's like he was trying to save the Jeep. He was just trying to stop her from leaving. He was not going all out.
No, he wasn't going all right. He
And
didn't want to hurt her. He didn't want to smash his only car up.
Said about Bruce is weak. They told about Bruce. It's like, no, Bruce wasn't going all out. It's like Bruce was up there like, I could end this fight if I really wanted to.
Because he
That's
never
my
actually
cousin.
even
I'm not going
punched
to
her.
do
He
it.
always hit her with his shoulder or a forearm, just kind of shoved her. He never threw a punch when he did the clap.
Right.
No, but that was funny. It's like he
Yeah.
did the clap. It's like she gets blown half the distance and hit a tree. And she's like, "Oh, really?" Clap. Nothing happened. And it's like, clap. nothing happened.
Yeah.
Clap. And all of a sudden, it's like you get all these other ways, and he's like, not really being moved, but he was like, okay, it's hurting. It's like it's destroying my balance and everything like that. It's like, okay, fine, let her win. And that's the thing that they did not. A lot of these reviews did not get. It's like Bruce pretty much was arguing with her because of the simple. It was like a sibling argument. Eventually, one is going to back down and let the other win.
I don't know. I heard a lot of
whole thing
complaints
about the bar. That the bar got hurt, and that's brought him out of it.
Right. The I got to be honest. The Smart Hulk has never been my favorite version in the comic books, but I would love to see him go from. And I kind of like the idea that he was such a tragic character, and he has kind of resumed. He's kind of come back from that to have a balance. But I would also like to see. I'd like to see Joe Fixit make an appearance. And
Yes.
I wouldn't mind Joe Fixit, but it's like the original Smart Hulk. I give that to you, but the other Smart Hulk that I want was Doc Green.
Oh yeah.
I want Doc Green. Doc Green was the one that went around and took every last one of their powers, all their given powers away from all the other Hulks.
Or I would even, doing a horror show or a horror movie where we get something from the Immortal Hulk. I don't know. I mean, that may be too different, but I would be on board for that.
I think that's too much for Ruffalo. They'd have to bring Edward Norton back.
That's what I was thinking. I'm not sure he could
the
do
thing
that.
They're ruining. The rumor mill is that Maestro is coming. That's the rumor.
Yeah.
What we get in between now and Maestro is what we don't know. Because again, we don't know what happened to Bruce, why he is Intelligent Hulk right now.
Right. Rick Bradley makes a good point here. I think, though, if they did She-Hulk going savage and being chased, that people would have hated it for rehashing the Hulk movie with a female character. Well, possibly.
Not necessarily, because they had two really distinct different origins.
Yeah, but I can see where it might sound to some people like it worked for Bruce. Let's just run Jennifer through it and just change the names on the script.
To me, I would have did episode 1 where it's like, okay, the accident happened, the car accident happened, the blood got into her, she changed.
Yeah.
They separated for at least a couple of years, and because she changed so often, she couldn't control it. And she dealt with it by herself. So when Bruce finally caught up to her,
they would,
and was trying to put her through the training, she could have came back and says like, "Look, I've been through this for years without your help.
Yeah.
I don't have an alter ego like that. I'm not angry. This is just who I am."
Right.
A lot of those speeches in those scenes did not make sense because of that.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Rick. They probably would.
I do think they cleaned up the CGI quite a bit from that early trailer, though.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
And even people were
because they make them work, 30 hours a day.
Yeah.
Even people were complaining about that she was too skinny, that they tried to make her more, made her taller and not bulkier. And I was like, it is what it is. It's like, the way that most people love She-Hulk, they don't like the big and bulky, bodybuilder one, like at least within like the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But yet everybody loved fitness models / bodybuilder type She-Hulk. And I was like, you kind of got that here, just that she's more stretched out. She's not as sturdy or hefty, if I could say it. In that. I mean, she's not sporting like the super ripped
This
ass.
one too muscular or not muscular enough?
That's about where she's supposed to be. Now, if I was drawing it, I probably would make her a little bit more muscular, but that's where she's typically supposed to be.
She got a big booty, though.
Yeah. No, she got hips. She got the hips and she got the booty, yeah.
That's a technical term, people. It's an artist term.
Yes, I draw with real pencils sometimes, people.
What? Oh my god!
If Glenn B. Film was here, it's like that's the only way to draw.
Oh, Glenn
Real
just
pistol.
hates on that's a Morpheus. It's
Uh-huh.
real rough. There's a death.
Yeah,
Ooh.
we love you, Glenn, but he wants nothing to do with digital.
Right.
Hey, it's cheaper for me, so
That's right. Why
I
not?
think it
It's
would
just
be,
a
but it
tool.
really is.
Yeah.
It's just a tool, you know?
Yeah.
So,
You know how much Bristol board costs?
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's not cheap anymore, that's for sure. It never was, now that I think of it.
Yeah.
So, well, we are closing in on 2 hours, or 3 hours now.
I may or may not have a crush. You
Yes,
guys
Rick
have
Bradley
that
says,
long
I
way,
may or may not have a huge crush on She-Hulk.
but you have to figure that one out.
Yes. Yeah, that's a personal thing, but if you want our opinion, you're hooked. Anyway,
And for those who want to harken back to Joni Lanier,
oh yes,
always go back to those, if I could say, the not so friendly Avengers and
the parodies.
right.
Yes, I saw those. The less said about them, the better. I'll sleep.
My sentiments is this:
Yes.
she has to look, but just be happy that it is a parody where she doesn't have to really use the acting chops.
Yeah.
I felt like she has to look, but she doesn't have the acting chops. Especially with I seen the Avenger stuff. I was like, okay, this is not bad. I seen the original episodes dealing with the She-Hulk itself, but
Right.
when she was with Fantastic Four, I was like, oh god, this is horrible acting. Even for the parody, it was horrible acting.
Yeah, although the Superman one was actually the Superman. There was a pair of Superman films based on Man of Steel. They were actually excellent. I watched those, so you don't have to, America. You're welcome.
But that's
I do
that's
for you
the damn
people.
anyway. You like Superman, but
Yeah.
like I said, I was like, I've seen those and just I was like, yeah, you guys are kind of like, man, it's like that's what floats your boat. More power to you. But I just know for a fact the reason why there was never a live action She-Hulk anything before those parody films is because she haven't developed those acting chops,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it shows in those parodies.
Yes, it does. And something you'll also see is green makeup on her co-stars. Moving on, let's go.
Let's wrap it up, people.
Right, yeah,
I got
really.
places to be.
Dinner time.
Yes, Eric's got to go.
Dinner time.
So I'll tell you what, let's do this. We'll give it to Eric, then Clyde, then Joe, and then I'll close out the show. But this way, Eric can get to his competition.
Yes.
And remind us again of what it's about.
It is Psychotron, which is now funding on Indiegogo and Kickstarter launching tomorrow with variant covers. Kind of a futuristic after World War III guy. He's got he's an ex-soldier. He's got some bionic parts and stuff. And it's a comedy mostly, comedy fun book. It looks pretty cool. I'm a backer, so yeah. Go check it out or come watch us draw it tonight. Might be fun, who knows? But it starts in like 10 minutes and around till midnight, so I mean it's a long time. But other than that, you can find me on any social media. I'm the creator of the Zombie World of Oz and soon to be Zombieful Adventures, where Tom Sawyer will ride in a train with a bunch of zombies. And I have dogs. Other than that, come check us out every Thursday night here at 6 p.m. Central.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you, my friend.
All right.
Appreciate it. Have a good one and good luck tonight.
Thanks.
All right. You can go ahead and take off if you want.
I will.
All right. And he's out of here. Clyde, your turn.
I'm Clyde Hall, self-described elder statesman of geekery because I've been a fan of all things imaginative since a long time ago and in what feels like an era far, far away. How long, you ask?
How long?
I knew you were going to ask. Since before Spider-Man was voiced by Rene Auberjonois. That's Odo from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Wow.
On a vinyl LP called Spider-Man's Dilemma, a rock comic, with musical numbers of questionable quality by a group called the Web Spinners, backing Spidey's team-up with Doctor Strange in their battle against the Kingpin. Now I'm an independent author, an award-winning audio drama scriptwriter, and a contributing writer at Stormgate Press. Check out my story in their new anthology, Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie, along with Tim Bruckner and Jim Beard and Alessia Kent, and our own Brian K. Morris. It's available on Amazon, or visit us at www.stormgatepress.com to see all the goodies available in the new pulp genre. And speaking of goodies, look at that cover.
That's gorgeous.
That is Plasma Fire Graphics at their finest. They're one of our sponsors, and we appreciate them.
Yes.
I also do online comic reviews at comicsbookcase.com and at doomrocket.com. Follow me on Facebook at Clyde Hall, or Radiating Positive Vibes with Clyde Hall, or you can find me on Twitter at CJHall1984. Check back next Thursday when the Rising Tide Broadcast Network celebrates NCBD +1 again, right here on Comic Book Spectrum.
All right. Thank you so much, Clyde. And Mr. Joe D. McFee.
Yes, I am Joe D. McFee. You can always find me at right here at this link for Linktree. It has everywhere I'm at social media wise, except for the gaming channel that I currently run, which I sometimes put footage out there, whether it be live streaming or just random sessions that I have here. As of right now, I'm still getting these all packed up and labeled and ready to go through the post office here. So like I said, over the next couple weeks, you should be in your hands here. In addition to that, I believe this Saturday is not going to be ranting per se. It's going to be more along the lines. I'm going to continue to want more of the kind of like the behind the scenes type deal. The discussion that came up is in another one of these direct messaging groups here. It came up about pitching to other comic book stores. So I'm going to actually show you what I did recently for a comic book store to pitch to them. And from the owner of the store, it's like they loved how I presented everything. I'm going to put some ideas out there for you guys to think about. If you're trying to get your books into stores, you might want to look at some of these type of things here to make it worthwhile, not only for you to get your books out there into that store, but also make it worthwhile for that store owner, both cost wise as well as space wise, because there's things that we take for granted, and without you understanding how certain brick and mortar stores operate, you might be shooting yourself in the foot. So that's what we want to be talking about this Saturday on From the Death of Small Press Publishing.
Most excellent. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Not a problem.
All right. And I'm Brian K. Morris. You can follow all my exploits right here at risingtide.pub. Make sure you put that .pub at the end. I am an independent author, award-winning writer, and I'm also in Major Marjorie, as detailed before, and also Snow Shorts from Ben Books, from Becky Books, and Crazy 8 Press. I'm in part of a trilogy of Batman commentary books from about the 1960s show. And of course, I've got my own imprint, Rising Tide and Freelance Words. That's my international big-time seller, Santa's Sign. And I've also got a really busy schedule in the next few weeks. This coming Saturday on the 27th, I will be at the Evansville Museum of Arts, History, and Science, pardon me, at 411 Southeast Riverside Drive in Evansville, Indiana. I'm going to be there with a whole bunch of comic book creators, writers, artists, and cosplayers. It's called Geek and Comic Show. It's from 11 to 5, and remember, that's in the Central Time Zone. It's in a special magical part of Indiana. And we'll be there from 11 to 5. Please come see us. And if you want more information, go to emuseum.org, and you can learn all about it. And I brought my... we won't go into everything, but I've got a whole bunch of dates in September and October, and even November now. I'll be at BurgCon in Harrisburg, Illinois at the Bonin Business Center on September 3rd. The week after that, on the 9th and 10th, I will be at SilCon at the Cross County Mall in Mattoon, Illinois. That's going to be a good time, free admission there. I'm also going to be at the Autumn Blaze with Rick Welchins. I've got more information on that coming soon. And then October 1st, I'll be at the Lexington Legendary Book Bash at the Embassy Suites in Lexington Green, 245 Lexington Green Circle, in Lexington, Kentucky. And then the Benton County Book Show, or FezCon as it's being called, on October 8th in Fowler, Indiana at the public library, at the Benton County Public Library. Then Writer's Block up in Dayton, Ohio, followed by HowlCon on the 28th, 9th, and 30th in Dalton, Georgia. That's going to be a lot of fun. And in November, I'll be at the Hoosier Indie Author Book Fair at the Honeywell Center, 275 Market Street in Wabash, Indiana. So we've got a packed schedule, and if you want to find out more, subscribe to my newsletter at risingtide.pub. And as usual, we've got people to thank. First of all, our Patreon subscribers, who, God bless them, they support everything we do here with a monthly subscription. And if you want to see what you can get for your direct financial support of our enterprises, go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. Also, Rising Tide Publications is a sponsor of this show, as well they should be. It's my thing. And also, Plasma Fire Graphics. You saw the Great Major Marjorie cover. That's not all they do. That's Plasma Fire Graphics when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Jeffrey Hayes is a joy to work with, and you'll find out when you go to plasmafiregraphics.com and ask him about his indie creator-friendly pricing. That's Plasma Fire Graphics when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And with that, we're going to bid you a fond adieu. We will be back 1 week from tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time with another great episode of Comic Book Spectrum. Thank you all for your support and your hanging out with us. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this program if you've enjoyed any part or plan to in the future. And as always, my friends, I'm Brian K. Morris saying, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great weekend, everybody, and support your local comic shop. Yeah.